yeah, dude. I'm a basically like a runt of my family. Like, my dad's 6'4", grandpa's 6'5". Okay, like everyone in my dad's side of the family is huge guys. Come from like kind of a not really military background because it's not like first line. A lot of my cousins are still active duty. Grandpa served in the Navy. We have a long bloodline of warriors in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
In World War II, the first Congressional Medal of Honor was awarded to like my great 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 uncle. I don't know
Wow.
how many greats, but he's up there. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's Hammer and Hank Elrod. So we have a lineage to the Hatfields and the McCoys. So
Wow.
that's American history right there. And Davy Crockett is like a one-off cousin to us as well. So I take pride in like my family history whatsoever, and then boom, I came out and I was like 5'9", the most unathletic kid you'll ever meet in your life. Like,
Yeah.
bad, dude. Like I used to get made fun of. I played football my whole entire life as a kid, so I did like it was like 9 seasons of football. So from the time I was like I want to say 8 till about 16, 17, I played football.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I got to high school, like I played 3 years of high school football and I played like 2 plays. It was bad, dude. It was bad.
Oh,
So,
God. You said, maybe I'm good on that.
yeah, dude, I practiced. I tried my hardest. I like every weekend I was doing extra work. I just sucked. I was small. I wasn't athletic. I had no fast twitch. I
That's
had
tough.
nothing, dude. It was bad. I was like looking back, I was a coach's like worst nightmare because I was the kid who like didn't quit. But I always showed up and like wanted to play and everything, but I was garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage.
They're probably like, okay, dude, like, figure it out.
Dude, that's yeah. And then and the best part was when I told them then I was getting into MMA and they all fucking laughed at me. So
Look
like
at you,
I
look
got
at you
chips
now.
on my shoulder. Say what now?
I said, look at you now.
Dude, exactly. So, but it was necessary. I swear it was necessary because it like all those years of like training for no reward. It built this work ethic in me where I'm down to grind. Like start an Instagram page, post every day, start a business, do everything right every single day with no reward for years on end, knowing that okay, like this is gonna pay off in the future. And
That
so
delayed gratification, man.
exactly. I really really think that was the best way for me to come up. But yeah, so I was basically a run in the family. I remember I ran track and I practiced all summer. I had one race. I ran the 400. And I finished 30 seconds behind everyone in last place. And so I like lied, said I broke my foot or something.
Yeah, you're like limping. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's so bad. Everyone knew. I knew.
Yeah.
It was terrible. So yeah, but in high school I was getting pissy because of it. And I hit puberty super late. I grew going into my senior year. I think I graduated at 5'7". So I grew another 2 to 3 inches after I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember being like a sophomore and junior in high school and being like, why don't girls like me? Like just pissed off. And then
Because you can't fight.
everybody would say what?
Because you can't fight yet.
Dude, exactly. But that's what led to it is I was like, all right. And I was like, I've always as a kid been attracted to combat. Always. And so like I remember I would like I've had so many fights in my bathroom mirror. Like just what are you gonna do? Like those yes. So
That's
that
funny.
was like it was always in me. It was always in me as long as I can remember. I remember always being on a beach. I have videos of me as a kid on a trampoline. I posted on my Instagram, and I'm wrestling with my cousin. And looking back, I was like, "Holy shit, that was beautiful sequences I was doing." I had no idea what I was doing.
In your blood. That's just genetics at that point.
So, yeah, I really truly believe that.
So
I was kind of born with that.
I mean, I think that it's part of quote unquote destiny is like making do with what you got and then realizing that there was something in there like for you as MMA and stuff like that. Like there's something in there the whole time and you kind of bring it to light. But so you graduated high school, then what?
Well, so I started jiu-jitsu actually in high school. So,
That was your first martial art?
No, I did Taekwondo as a kid for a while.
Cool.
And then one day my dad got all pissy. My dad has no patience. And so I was kind of like a little ADD kid. I wasn't listening. And he took me out of it and said, nah, it's no good for him. So I did one tournament as a kid. It was like little point style. And I just touch him, get a point, and, nothing. But everyone's like, oh, that's why you can kick good. But I don't know if there's any carry through the years.
Sure.
Of Taekwondo. But I did start jiu-jitsu in high school. I started grappling. In 8th grade, I remember this guy was telling me like, oh, if you do anything, you need to get into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's like where you get all low and then you can like kick people super high. I remember being like, that sounds so cool. I watched Dragon Ball Z. I'm into it. And I had no idea what the hell was going on. So I was wrestling at the time. I wrestled my freshman year in high school. That don't even get me started on how fucking bad I was. And and so I walk into a jiu-jitsu mats and I was like, what the hell is this? And they were like, wrestling. I was like, oh, it's wrestling. He's like, it's not. And so when you're like 13, I was 13 or 14 years old, and like they give you a 9-year-old kid, that is a huge difference.
Oh,
like,
yeah. That's inches and like tens and tens of pounds.
Exactly. And especially like, you know, if you're in 8th grade, you got to be able to whoop everyone 7th grade and vice versa, you know, going down the chain. So I got a 9-year-old in front of me. I'm like, okay, little guy, what's up? And he choked me about 4 times. And I remember like that blow sucked. And I was like, whoa. And my mom was like, do you like it? And I was like, well, I don't like this. Like, but this is unacceptable. Like, this is so unprofessional of me. Like, I need to go in there and handle this kid. So that's what kick-started my jiu-jitsu career. So I started on and off in high school. I had about 6 surgeries in high school, I want to say. They actually thought I had cancer at one point because I had a huge lump on my leg. And I forget the name of it, but there's a type of cancer that kids get, and it makes their bones brittle. And at that time, I had just broken like 6 bones.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I snapped my collarbone, broke both ankles, I broke both wrists, I broke my leg. And so they were like, hey, like, we're going to do a biopsy. We're pretty sure this is cancer. He's got a tumor. That was a weird period in my life where everyone was lying to my face, but I knew something was up, but I had no idea. And then after the fact, they told me when like, oh, you don't have cancer. You're just frail.
Yeah.
You know? I was like,
more calcium.
dude, I don't know what it was. I mean, I grew up like the worst way ever, and I'll get into that too because that's kind of what led me down this path. But yeah, I remember one day they like picked me up from school or whatever, and we're like going out to eat and celebrate. I'm like, why are we celebrating? They're like, you don't have cancer. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what do you mean?
It's like, what? I didn't know it was on the table. What the fuck are you talking?
I was like, what the fuck you mean I don't got cancer, you sons of bitches? And then it all clicked. I was like, fuck all of you. I was like, I can't trust any of you. My mom, my dad, my stepmom, stepdad, sisters. Damn. I was wondering why everyone was being so nice. I was vibing. I was like, everyone's in my room hanging with me. I was like, right on. They all thought I was going to die.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck, guys? That's hilarious.
It was bad, yeah. It was truly bad. So
that's
I
a
was
pretty...
on and off. And then I did compete while I was in high school. And I loved it. First match ever, first jiu-jitsu tournament. I get put to sleep. So it was like, worst case scenario. Came back. It was like double round robin. So I got to come back, grapple more. Ended up finished second place in the tournament. Lost to the kid who put me asleep. And I remember I was like hooked. And that summer, that was like junior year. The summer going from junior year to senior year, I like stopped playing football, which like I told you, like it was my lifestyle. So even though I wasn't going to play, I was going to show up and practice everything. I was like, nah. Yeah. I'm done with this. I hate team sports. This is on me. I love it. So I remember like my summer schedule was wake up, watch Dragon Ball Z, go train, come home. I would eat like 5 sausages on a piece of Wonder Bread toast and butter. Watch Dragon Ball Z, take a nap, wake up, eat, sweat a little bit, go train again, come home, watch Dragon Ball Z. And I did that for like 4 months and like instilled like the best work ethic ever.
You probably have a special affinity for Dragon Ball Z.
Oh man, dude, that was me coming up like Dragon Ball even more so. Like when Goku's a kid, like I truly believe that is the best mentality for martial arts.
I've never seen. I don't even know what the premise of the show is. Never seen an episode.
Oh, dude, yeah. It's if you ever want to get into something, you're bored and you just need a show. But like I've gotten away from like almost all TV here and there. I spent a lot of time during the day being busy. So me and the girlfriend will watch a show at night. But like if you ever even watch Dragon Ball, that is the best martial arts mentality. Like that kid does not care about what people think about him. He just works his hardest. He's constantly seeking out the best challenge. He doesn't care about the result. He truly cares about growth. And he's like almost stupid to a point where it's so beneficial.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't care about the odds. He doesn't care about what's good or bad for him. He just wants to get better.
Yeah. It's like the ignorance leads him to like not listen to people, so he keeps on going.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So,
I'll have to check that out. I'm about to write that down, dude.
Dragon Ball, baby. That is the shit.
Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon Ball Z is cool because you're going to get like the world-ending battles, the power-ups, everything like that. The aesthetics of it, amazing. Yeah. But pure martial arts standpoint, Dragon Ball, best mentality Kid Goku right there.
Roger, dude. I'll check that out, honestly. Who says a 24-year-old can't watch Dragon Ball?
Dude, I'm telling you.
Yeah, so high school, start competing in jiu-jitsu. Did you go to college?
So I did. I started at UNLV.
Okay.
I liked it there. I was working at the time and I was in school. And I remember though what rubbed me wrong was the beginning. I started meeting all these cool people and they were taking me out and everything like that, and I didn't comprehend what was going on. And it was all my friends from high school, everything like that. Well, they ended up rushing with fraternities. And so I was meeting all these guys. And then when it came time to rush, they wanted me to pay. And I was paying for everything. I didn't have money. I was like, oh, I don't have money. I was like, shit. I was like, let me try and get some money. And I remember my dad, I was like, hey, like, can I borrow some money and rush a fraternity? My dad was like, you're a fucking fool. Because he's so anti that.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you're a fucking fool. Don't be dumb. You know, basically he's calling me a pussy.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, whatever. And so I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm not going to rush this semester. I really want to. And they all like cold shouldered my ass after. And
Damn.
I was like, oh, it's like a shitty business deal.
Yeah.
And so I got a real bad taste in my mouth from it. And I was like, man. And so for the longest time, I was bitter. I was like, fuck fraternities, sororities, da da da. And then it's funny because my girlfriend, she was in a sorority at West Virginia.
Cool.
And I've always been like, fuck those people. It's so fake, da da da. And her and her group of sorority sisters are the coolest fucking friend group I've ever seen in my life. I love them. Like, you know, like that kind of changed it for me big time. And then growing older, you know, you get over your young bullshit. And so, like, met some of the greatest people in my life who are, like, fraternity bros and everything like that. So
Yeah, it's definitely hit or miss, I would say.
Yeah,
it's hit or miss.
100%.
Because there's a, not to, like, ostracize the group, but, like, there's a shit ton of fraternity guys that I've met that I'm like, I totally cool if I never see you or hang out with anybody that you know ever again. And then there's tons of them where I'm like, we could definitely be bros.
Exactly. It's going to come down to the person, like the intention, you know what I mean? Like it always boils down to the person. You can't literally generalize the whole group. But I remember it put a bad taste in my mouth, and then I just switched gyms right out of high school going into college. I was at like a normal jiu-jitsu gym. It was kind of wasn't chainy. They didn't care. They wanted members, you know. So I was like getting taught, but I wasn't getting taught right. And I walked into this gym. And this was like probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. Is I walk in this gym, and it's an old gym. It's actually the first MMA gym in Vegas. It was called JSEC. It's now known as Fight Capital. It's still running. I still go there.
Cool.
But I mean, like it smelled in there, and it's like in a bad area of town.
Yeah.
Walk up the stairs. It's like I'm the only white guy in there, and then there's a guy across the mats. I remember he's got his gi on, bald head, whole head's tattooed. Okay. Whole neck's tattooed. He's shredded, okay? He's like completely shredded, like not natty at all. Chest tattoo, scars across his chest. And I meet the coach at the time, and I met him because I worked with his brother. His brother kept telling me, hey, you got to come check out my coach. So it was a Hawaiian guy. His name's Vance Elrod. And he was like, what's up? You know, nice to meet you. He's like, oh, my brother told me about you.
My brother.
He's like, hey. Yeah, bro, full Hawaiian, dude.
Yeah.
Full Hawaiian. I lived with them, too, for a while. So
Cool.
I'll get into that because that shaped me as well. Those are some crazy fucking stories. But he had me roll with the yatted head dude over there in the corner. And I was like, is he going to fucking stab me? Like, what do you mean roll with him? I'm 17. You want me to roll with him? I graduated when I was 17. He was like, yeah, go roll with him. So I remember I rolled with him and like just got completely shut down or whatever. But I was like I said, watched Dragon Ball Z. I had chips on my shoulder. I was practiced my whole life, never played. And so like I learned how to not quit. So I just remember like, if I got tapped, my biggest thing was like get on my feet before they did and then go right to them, no matter what. Do that every single time. I did that for years. If you tap me, I will get on my feet before you and I will come back and put the pace on you. You could tap me 20 times. You could tap me 30 times in 5 minutes. I'm getting up and I'm coming right back at you. I'm here for it. You know what I mean? I'm not here to win. I'm here to learn. I'm here to do it. And so I did that. And like afterwards, the guy like came at me, pat me on the head. He's like, I like you. And that ended up, I'm lifelong friends with that guy now, Stevie. Like, he'll be at my wedding. The guy's amazing.
That's awesome.
Crazy bastard, too. The scars on his chest are gunshot wounds because someone was robbing a store. 2 guys came in. Quick tangent. 2 guys came in and robbed the store. First guy held a gun up to the cashier. Second guy came up, held a gun up to him because it was just him in the cashier store. He fucking judo through the dude, through the glass with all the drinks. And the other guy popped the rounds at him, and the bullets came by and burnt his chest. That's how close they were. Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I gotta send you a picture of him because he's just this. Man, I wish you watched Dragon Ball Z. He looks like this character, but he looks Majin for anyone who's watching Dragon Ball Z and knows. But he's just this buff, bald dude, shredded, 6% body fat, and like he's off in the head too. He's a little off. which I like crazy people who like aren't gonna hurt me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
on your side.
Oh yeah.
But he is off. So he used to sit in the corner before class every day and like dry scoop like 2 scoops of Jack 3D, the meth pre-workout, and he'd put it in and he would just dry scoop it, eat it, and then you'd see him. He'd be kind of staring off in the corner. And he'd pump up, and he's like, "Oh!" And his eyes got big, and he'd start running around the mats every day. And I was like, "Fuck, we got Stevie here."
Yeah, that's the dude that you should. Everybody that walks into the gym for the first time, you're rolling with him.
100%, dude. 100%. So
That's awesome.
he was amazing. But yeah, so I walk in there, meet them, start training there, and they immediately took me in. And I had like this brotherhood with them, and I was like, "This is what I wanted." And it was kind of like I didn't realize then, but like I really felt like I was going in a new school, and boom, I got shunned right away. And I really like got into a good group of a team that I loved. And so one thing led to another, and I was going to college, but I kept making left turns to the gym. So my first 2 semesters of college, it was like F, 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 D, F, like every single class. I lost my Millennium Scholarship. I was academically fine. I was always like I tested super high on every test ever. But like when it came to like doing the schoolwork, I would always fail out. So I did just enough to get a scholarship, and then I just flunked out like first semester.
Too many left turns. That's funny. Never heard that before.
Yeah, it was bad. So I kept going to the gym. So I stayed training with them, and then really fell in love with the gym because we were a small team of like, I want to say 7 or 8 people. And we would go to the local tournaments against the big gyms. And Vegas is huge. You know, you throw a rock, you're going to hit a purple belt.
Yeah.
Like, there's a gym on every corner. It's fight capital of the world, you know, and I'll get into that because fight capital of the world, but I honestly believe it's one of the shittiest places to train in the whole entire world.
Yeah, I would love to get in that later, but just dive into that a little bit.
Yeah. Part of the reason is, you know, it's an attention thing. So many big names are here. And so when you walk in, you're a 17-year-old white kid and you're getting tapped 20 times. Like, good luck getting coaching.
Yeah.
Like, even today, like, I'm on the mat next to Francis Ngannou sometimes. It's like, you think a coach is watching me spar?
No.
You know, I'm good, but you think a coach is watching me next to Francis and Sean Strickland and, you know, all these guys who are on the mat with us, and you got, like, half the Daggies who are on the run. They're all 17-0, and you're like, all right. You're like, oh, there's Vance. Like, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
So we did good, though, because we had a coach and we had a small team. And the way I really relate it was like, if you walked my first gym, I felt like I was in infantry. Like I was a Marine, a jarhead, whatever. I felt like I got bumped into a special force unit.
Yeah.
We got so much tailored training. The whole gym had a system. It wasn't show up and do a move here, there, yada, yada. It was literally systematic. We had our months planned out beforehand. We were working these techniques. These techniques led into the highest probability of what would come from the counter and then how to counter the counter. And we built these foundations. And so I remember I started training there, my first tournament there, because I had a couple as a younger guy, and I never did too well. In my first tournament with them, it was like 3 subs and then a last minute win for my first gold medal ever, and
right
like
on.
Naga in a huge division full of guys, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I was like, this works, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I love the gym. I love what it was like tailored for and everything like that. And you train, right? You do jiu-jitsu?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, where are you training at out in
So
Austin?
I was in Atlanta, trained at SBG Atlanta for 9 months.
SBG is always a good chain, dude.
Dude,
Always
my
a good
coach,
chain, yeah.
Coach Phil Gentry, he's my 3rd episode on this podcast. He's a legend. Just the atmosphere they built there, similar coaching style to what you're talking about in terms of it wasn't like show up one day and they're like, yeah, let's see what we're going to do. It's like they had curriculums planned for months and months and months. And I also liked it because it wasn't competition heavy, meaning like it wasn't dudes are just in there just only doing competition. It was, I would say it's almost more geared towards being self-defense / more well-rounded. So I was learning like a sufficient amount of judo, sufficient amount of wrestling, obviously jiu-jitsu. And then I competed right before I left there too. And I haven't competed since, but I love competing.
Yes.
I don't know if you've done any IBJJF tournaments or anything like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've done worlds, I've done no-gi worlds, gi worlds, Pan Ams. I was a jits guy forever, so yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, dude, I'm all about it. I 100% changed my life in a tangible way, like visceral. Yeah. I've never felt more dumb in my entire life than walking into jiu-jitsu for the first time. And you need that.
Like, you need it. Like, no one, if you've never done it, you know, you need it. I'm watching some dude on Twitter right now get ready for a tournament, and he's like, I'm doing it the real martial arts way. I'm not training. I'm just lifting weights. I'm just becoming in shape and everything like that. I'm like, I can't fucking wait just to watch this cunt get folded.
Yeah, dude, what are you talking
and
about?
he looks in shape.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't wait just to watch him get fucking folded. It's
Yeah, that
gonna
doesn't
be
make
amazing.
sense. That's like a horrible philosophy.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? I respect what he's doing. I also respect like he's putting it all on the line, and he's gonna be a better man for it. But it's gonna be so great.
You tweeted the other day. You tweeted something about like motivation, and then getting into like if you need motivation, schedule a fight. It'll get real quick.
Dude, that's
I
what
totally resonate with. I'm like, yeah, if you in 8 weeks you got another man lined up to beat the shit out of you, you're either gonna figure it out or you're not, and we know how that's gonna go.
You have to like my pro debut taught me so much, and like it like literally when you have a man, my pro debut I got my face shattered, so it's like I've like not only face shattered, I got like fudged.
Yeah.
Okay, it's what started my whole company,
Mm-hmm.
and literally like changed me the way I look at the game, and I was like, you need to have that fire under your ass. You need to have some dire physical consequences if you fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that, at least like you gotta be able to imagine it. But as soon as like yesterday, like I told you, I have a little staph infection. I had a 99-100 degree fever yesterday. I was like chilled out on the couch, fever dreams. My girlfriend said I was talking on the couch about whatever the hell, you know.
Yeah.
I remember I woke up and like had no idea where I was, but like this morning I woke up and I just hit 4 sprints and did a shoulder workout in the backyard because like in 7.5 weeks, that cage is shutting. And that ref's going to go, are you ready? And I have to say yes. And he go, are you ready? And that guy is going to, whether he's scared, whether he's, nervous, whatever, he's going to be throwing with everything he has because he wants to put me out and I want to put him out.
Yeah.
There's no way, shape, or form he's going to try to do anything other than end me in front of everyone.
Because if he doesn't, then he knows that's what you're going to do or you're going to be trying to do. And I remember Coach Phil on episode 3 of this podcast, like I mentioned, he talks about his first MMA fight. And he still to this day remembers this, like, I don't even know, 20 years ago. He remembers the sound of the gate, like, closing. Yes. He's like, oh, fuck, this is for real.
Yes.
Like, this is for real. And then he, like, head kicked the dude and choked him out. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool. But, like, he remembers the noise.
Dude, I've done this. I time travel. It's weird. And it's like, not like literally, but I've done this a few times where, like, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, in a couple weeks, you're going to hear, are you ready? Are you ready? And then when that moment comes, and I remember everything. It's like literally like a movie where like I foreshadow and then when it's like it skips a frame. And it's like I teleport to it. Like I time travel into the cage. But man, that you hear it shut, they announce your name and like the adrenaline then like it goes from like height to like peak. And then it starts coming down a little bit. But like when it peaks right there, you just have the memory of that ref like squat over looking at you like, are you ready? And you're like, yes. And he's like, are you ready? And it's fight and like they smack and they're like they always make it extravagant and then it's just imminent impact. You're just slow motion. You have a guy coming at you and you're going forward and you're catching range about tap gloves or whatever and then it's fucking impact and you're like okay. So if you're not ready, you're not 100% ready, your mind's not ready, your body's not ready, you will 100% crumble. And even though it's just in a cage and there's a ref and it's a sport and everything like that, your body's going to react like it's life or death, especially because there's people watching. Next time you do a workout, throw a camera on yourself and work out. Watch how different you act. Watch how different you fuck yourself up mentally. Because you know a camera can be eyes watching you. Now do it live with people around. You know what I mean? And everyone's intently focused on you either getting your ass whooped or whooping ass. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely. I mean, even that philosophy right there, I've never thought about that. But even the working out with your buddies. Like, you can only push yourself so far by yourself, right? But then you work out with a group and you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to let this motherfucker beat me. I'm not going to let him beat me. I'm sure as hell not going to let him beat me. And so then they're going, and then it's just that, it's that, like, all eyes on you type of mentality where it definitely pushes you. It takes a special human being, like, a very, very special human being to be able to push yourself to your full 100% by yourself. That's like the David Goggins of the world. But, like...
Dude, and... there's no point. Like it's kind of like the old saying. It's like I don't need a drink to have fun. It's like, well, I don't need shoes to run, but it sure fucking helps. Yada yada. Which you should be barefoot running. But getting into it, I'm just saying, like, it's I've always gone back to strength conditioning coaches because I've noticed, like, and I promise you, I might be the most disciplined man on Twitter. Like, I promise you, like, I'm in it.
I believe it.
And I'll notice, like, that voice in your head where you think your limit's here no matter what. Your brain will always tell your limit's here, and a coach will always push you to here.
Absolutely.
No matter
100%.
what. Yeah. And you might go with a coach for a while and take a break, do it on your own, but you'll notice you always start putting on, like, little barriers over time, and you need to go back with a coach. And then you hit this crazy workout you didn't think you were capable of. You're like, oh, shit. And then you need to go back to that guy.
Yeah, I think this is also why the community of most solid MMA gyms is so high or so cool, because you have the group of people you're working out with, like your buddies, your training partners, your brothers, more or less. And then you also have the coach that's pushing all of you. So you have the group, like, and your friends pushing each other. And then you have the coach pushing the whole group. So it's that's like the most optimal training scenario, in my opinion.
100%. Like, even I had this thought. I was driving home from Cali, and this dude kind of cut me off, whatever. And I'm like, all right, bitch. Like, get in front of him. And he's like trying to speed up, get around me again. And like, we're in two still cages. We're disconnected, but like, I have this connection with this guy now. Like, I can feel the fucking energy. Like, it's like we have a string attached to us now, and like we're just fucking battling now. It's like that competition. You need that though. Like, it's energizing. It's in our DNA. It's primal, but like, the way to do it is to be healthy about it, you know? Like, I'm friends with everybody I've fought with before. Every single person, like, even one of them, my one buddy, my first title fight, like, we train together now. I help him get ready for fights. Like, I give him supplements when he gets fucking concussions because he's a crazy bastard and does bare knuckle. And, like, we're boys, you know what I mean? And I keep in touch with, like, most of my guys. I, like, can't even post my highlights sometimes because I feel fucked up because, like, every time I do it, they comment underneath. They're like, yeah, I blocked that, though. And I'm like, fuck, like, all right, Justin, like, I know. Yeah. Like, we're all boys. Like, I want the best for them. But well, I think that's the martial art. You got to have a healthy form of competition for sure.
I think that's, I don't know how familiar you are with, like, Musashi or any of you. Yeah, so I read his book recently, or the book by Yoji Yoshikawa about him. And it's more of a respect thing. Like, it's not you fighting them. It's almost you're both following the way of whatever martial art you're doing. And it's just purely respect. It's not personal. It's not, and they would fight to the death. So it's not like, it wasn't like, fuck you, I'm going to kill you because you did this, this, and this. It's like, hey, you practice as hard as you could. I've practiced and worked as hard as I can. We're going to meet and we're just going to respect where the cards fall, you know? So I think that's the cool part about MMA, and really any martial art for that matter. And I played baseball in college. And it's similar in a way because pitching and hitting is like, it's an individual sport within a team sport because it's the pitcher versus the hitter, and then everything else falls into alignment. Whereas in football, you got like so many people doing the same thing on a play, more or less. But even pitching, it's like it wasn't life or death. It wasn't like, hey, this guy's gonna choke me out. Like, your body reacts differently. This guy's not trying to punch me in the skull. You know, it's just different. So I can't encourage anybody that's listening enough to go get in a jiu-jitsu gym, go get in a Muay Thai gym, go get in a boxing gym, go in a wrestling. Like, literally do something martial art related, and it'll change your life for the better.
Yeah. And that, I mean, just do, and that's the thing, like, I get, like, fighting, it's like, it comes with consequences. So it's like jiu-jitsu, go do it. Like, the worst thing you're risking is, like, maybe your lower back being tight, but, like, that's completely just how well you take care of your body anyways. Whereas boxing, Muay Thai, like, you got head trauma. Mm-hmm. That's that. Like, you're gonna take some head trauma. That's, you need that. That methylene. You take and that's where I found my company and why, dude. That was the biggest thing. Is like I went through a span during COVID where I got 3 back-to-back concussions, and I remember I didn't have any like memory symptoms or anything. Like, I didn't like lose my mind, but I just remember during the concussion time feeling so impaired. To where I was like, I was like, wow, like, I'm at the fork now. Like, I knew this would always happen, but I'm actually at that fork now. Because I'm 29 now, so I was like 27. I was like, I've been fighting for 8 years. Like, I'm going to start to see some consequences if I keep going with this. Like, what do I want to do? And I remember, like, I was like, I'm still fighting. Like, I'd rather die at 35, like, this life than any other life. I was like, I love my life. But I remember, like, it weighed heavy on me. And then when I got my face shattered, like, well, I mean, I'll just get into that. Like, my pro debut, I'm on a 2-year layoff after being a 2-time amateur world champion. One of them for the biggest organizations in the world, the amateur organization, which is tough enough. where, I mean, they've produced so many greats. Like Ronda Rousey went through Tough Enough. Like a ton of people. Like my first title fight actually with them, and it was my last fight with them. We had guys who like they flew in from Ireland and England. And I was like, oh shit, you flew out here? And they're like, yeah. They were like, what you do is you take your fights in local circuit, and then before you go pro, you're supposed to, our coach wants us to fly over to get a fight with Tough Enough to get the feel. Because it is my first big fight with them in the stadium was 16,000 people. So I fought in front of 16,600 people with 4-ounce gloves, bare shin, head strikes. Everything's legal except for knees and elbows.
Damn.
You can't knee to the head, you can knee to the body, but you can't elbow at all. So it's the closest thing you can get to a big stage professional fight. I would even say their promotion is higher up than most low-level pro promotions. So the whole game plan was take the toughest fights we could as amateurs, go on as a pro, and then do it the way everyone's doing. Unfortunately, MMA has evolved kind of like boxing. It's more political. So you have to fight the smart fights in the beginning, because if you get your record screwed now, you kind of screw your career.
Yeah.
And coming from a guy right now who's telling you my last fight, I would have owed the commission $50 if I would have lost. Okay. So we're not making money here. I'll repeat that. I would have owed money if I lost my fight. And they tell me fucking an hour before my fight. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, so if I walk away now, I don't risk anything. But if I fight for you guys right now and I lose, you want me to write you a check for fighting for you when you guys sold tickets. So I was like, what the fuck is
Better
this?
win.
Dude, so, yeah. So,
Did
but
you win?
going into it, I come off this great career, and then I got a 2-year layoff with COVID. And at that time, I really, really, really just kind of fell in love with, like, health. And, like, I was kind of, like, panicking in a way, because I know this is a short game. And I know, like, Father Time is undefeated. And I need to get in while I'm good. And I'm not being active. I'm not taking fights because COVID. And then we had so many guys say no to me, and so many guys pull out, because finding that first pro fight when you're a 2-time amateur world champ is tough. They go and they see the record. And then on top of that, my dumbass, the last title fight I had was 2 weight classes above my normal weight class. So they're like, fuck this. I'm not fighting a guy who just beat a 55er for a belt. Yeah. So I was like, all right, sorry. So I like really was panicking. I needed to do something. But the only thing that made me feel better was like pushing my absolute limits and training really hard. It was the only thing that made me feel less insecure about my career. So I like really dove into health and wealth, but I overdid it. So at the end of COVID, I blew my shoulder. Full labrum was like, I think over a quarter, 33% of it was gone. Doctor talked me into operating, so we got the operation done. And while I'm in recovery, I get a text for a fight. And I said, all right, done. Like, done. I'm sitting there every day. I couldn't even work out because of the shoulder. I'm on a 2-year layoff. I completely made the wrong decision. I rushed in. So I fight a guy who, in MMA, he started out a little rough as a pro. He was a Tough Enough champ as well before. He had a little rough beginning, and then he was on like a 6-fight win streak. He was doing kickboxing, bare knuckle, and MMA. He was winning his MMA fights. He was undefeated in bare knuckle boxing, kickboxing, and he was coming off a 7-second knockout in bare knuckle. And so...
That's like 2 punches.
Say what?
That's like 2 punches.
It was 1 punch.
Oh,
He
shit.
threw, boom, and knocked the guy out flat. So you're a little quiet
Am I
right
a little
now.
quieter? What about that?
That's perfect. That's
Better?
perfect.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it.
So he was we watched him, and so it's up to my team to tell me, hey, dumbass, no. And it's up to me to go, like, 4 months off labrum surgery, 2-year layoff against a ex-champ as well who's knocking everyone out. Let's do it, you know? Like, but I remember I watched the fights that he had, and I was like, okay, he's a farm boy with power, but he's not too technical. I was like, I could poke him all day long. This is amazing. I'm going to drop him. We'll go. So I take the fight. I fought literally 5 months right after a labrum surgery, which is like when you're supposed to start training again. It was like 5-6 months for recovery.
I tore my left labrum in baseball, and it took 6 months before I was hitting again or anything like that, which is...
Yeah.
I can't imagine going into a fight. That's crazy.
Yeah, you could see it, like, you could see this is my normal shoulder now, and then you could see where it's all lifted here and the scar tissue, and it's, like I said, 5 months I rushed it. My shoulder's fucked now. Like, it is a constant battle.
I would have been trying to rip Kimura's, bro, the whole... I would have just...
It's terrible, dude. It's like, I mean, I'm fucking stupid. My arms got all skinny, too. Yeah. I was mad. During COVID, I got some meat on me for once. I wasn't, like, string bean.
Yeah.
So it was cool. But, yeah, no, right back to string bean. But Yeah, I took the fight, and it was exactly how I imagined. It was like I come out, we were like sitting in the back, and I remember I was really nervous because like it was a long layoff, but I also understand the nerves and I understand how to do it, and I was like, we'll be fine. So we get out there and we line up in the cage, and I'm like, wow, I haven't been in here in a while. I feel at home. Like, let's do this. This is amazing. And open up, and I was like, if he's gonna open with a leg kick, I was like, I'm gonna fucking plant him right off the bat and show him the speed. I'm gonna show him the speed right off the bat, and I was like, and I'm gonna start establishing left hands. When he starts slipping the left hands, I'm gonna head kick him. And he opens up, he throws a leg kick, and right when he does, I send a check hook right across the face. Boom! And you see it in slow motion. The check hook lands, and then he, like, after the fact, tries to block. And you can see he's like, fuck. So then he's sitting there, and he's, like, kind of ranging with me, and he feels it now. And I'm being long, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, God. And his reactions are awful. I'm fainting. I go, I'm not even going to fucking throw the left. I'm going to head kick him right now. Wham! I lift this shin right into his ear, and he sits on his ass. And immediately, I just fucking planted him with it. I tilted the shoulder so he didn't know what was coming, and he just got struck on the opposite side, so he's ready for that again. And when I brought this shin up, he just he blocked it almost like the wrong way. And I whipped it. If it was a little bit of a tighter kick, it would have like full knockout, but in the beginning you want to be fast and you want to be able to return because it's opening explosions are crazy. So I whipped it in, got him right in the head, and I rushed in like a dummy because of 2 years I was like saw food and I was like, ah!
Those big eyes,
Yeah, he gets a double on me. So then we stand up, and it was like, okay, and then we collide a few more times, and then I fucking rip a body kick. Perfect. Good on him, because I've dropped people. I've won fights with my liver kick. Whole ribs are bruised, like black and blue before the fight's even over. Like, that's how hard I set him, and he ate it. And we were kind of playing around, and I remember he against the wall in the clinch, he was pretty strong, and I felt weak. I haven't lifted in 6 months, so I'm not as strong as I could be, and I had to cut weight a little different because they flew me out morning of. So I did a backwards weight cut instead of doing a water cut. So I was really skinny, so he's a little bit heavier. So he felt good in the clinch. And he was landing some strong elbows. I remember he elbowed the shit out of me. I was looking off at the camera, rolling my eyes, like as a joke. Because he was pushing into me hella hard, and I was just like, all right. And I was being cocky, and he elbowed me. I remember, like, woo! Like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, you got me. So I got kind of pissed, so I chuck a left hook hard. I connect and set him on his ass again, but I ripped my thumb off the hand. So right there.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it came off the hand. Complete dislocation.
You can kind of see a little bit, like right there looks a little bit jolted on your...
That's the other one, so I don't know if you could see it. Like, this side right here is a problem now because after this dislocated, it was like 6 months later, this one started dislocated. So
damn.
I actually just dislocated it last Saturday again.
Nice.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where it was actually almost healed, so this one hurt, but it's getting to the point when it pops out, it doesn't hurt as bad.
Yeah.
So I can just pop it in, and then it's pretty sore for a few days. But
just fighter things right there.
Remember what I said about, like, you get to those crossroads, you're like, oh, you're going to start paying the price? Yeah.
Fork.
Yeah, my fucking left side, you just chop this bitch off at this point, okay? It's fucking done.
That's funny. Good thing. Are you right-handed?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thankfully.
Yeah, then you're perfect. You're golden.
Yeah, we're good. I don't need it.
Yeah, so you drop him again with the hook.
Yeah, I dropped him with the hook, set him on his ass, and then he's on all fours, and I went to kick him in the face while he's down. I would have been on ESPN because it would have been an illegal strike, but I would have fucking booted his head off in the stands. Like, he was like on all fours and looking up at me, and I'm like fully cocked, and I pull it. I started shooting, and I pull it last second because he never lifted the hands. I was trying to time it. And so I stepped back, and I was like, all right. And then I remember I had the thought in my head. I was like, my left hand's dislocated. I could blow him a kiss at this point. He's sitting on his ass. Like, I got him. And I go, let's fucking get out of here. And I pulled a baseball. I pulled the biggest fastball check hook. So I wind it up, and I leap in, and I throw like this. And we've seen every fight of this kid. Every time he gets hurt, he ducks and he chucks an overhand and he lays people flat. And that's how he got his bare knuckle knockouts, how he got every drop before that, and we've watched it. And at that point, I was just uber confident. I wanted it to get out of there because my hands fucked up, like I was just ready. I was like, you know what, let's get out of here. And as I chucked it, he rolled under and fucking fastballed me right in the eye. And so I remember when it impacted, it's just like when I felt my hand dislocate, like it's not pain in there. You recognize damage. The way I tell people fight is like you're so adrenaline filled that it's like you can see your health bar, but you don't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel hurt. You don't feel tired. You are, but it's not the same feeling. It's like you're numb to everything, so you're aware. So I feel like my hand's dislocated, but it doesn't hurt. So when he landed, I didn't go to sleep. I was there. I was definitely buzzed. I skipped the frame. Like, I remember, like, being there and then, like, kind of being back and being like, okay, yeah, time travel a little bit. And I go, holy fuck, I felt my face shift. Like, I felt like my face wasn't the same bone structure as before. And I was like, this fucking guy just broke my face. I said, holy shit. I said, I just got my fucking face broke. So he's on me now, and he's strong. Like, he was stronger and thicker than me because I couldn't lift or anything like that. And I'm trying to get up, and I can't, and he's on me. And I'm getting fucking mad now thinking about it. But, yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, I quit at this point. And it still eats at me. Like, it's something I need to go through, and it sucks to say out loud. But I remember I had in my head both voices. I had one voice that was like, get up, be a warrior, and go out on your fucking shield. And I had the other voice in my head that was like, your hand's dislocated, your face is shattered, you can't see out of your right eye. And most people know this, I'm a little blind out of my left eye. So my right eye is my good eye. Like, if I cover this, all my vision shifts over and everything gets blurry. So I remember being like, fucking my good eye, I can't see out of. My face is shattered and my hand's broken. And I was like trying to get up and I was like, fuck, he's heavy. And so the voice was in there and it was like, hey, like, you're good. Like, you don't need to take any more damage. Like, chill. And I remember trying to get up, I couldn't get up. And I said, listen to that voice. So I curled to let the ref know I was done.
Mm-hmm.
And like, fucking, that one's going to go with me to the grave, dude. To the grave.
Yeah, but I think it's, in hindsight, it's obviously 2020, and you have that question in your head about whether or not you should have kept going and all that. But perhaps if you had, something would have happened, and then you wouldn't have Meraki, you wouldn't be where you are now, because you wouldn't have had some sort of reflection or something like that. So, I mean, obviously, there's some nagging, I'm sure. I think every athlete, especially high-level athletes, has one or two moments where they're like, motherfucker, like, if I could go back. But that brings you, like you said, that's the reason you started your company, and I'm sure that that's something you're pretty glad that you've done.
There's so much hindsight. It actually, it's funny that fucker made me spiritual. Not him, the whole fight though. It's hilarious because I had so many weird things happen with this fight. So many weird things. I want to really get into it because like it literally, like it changed the way I look at the world. It was an insane thing. But yeah, so getting on with it, like I'm down now. And I tried getting up, I couldn't, and I made the conscious decision. I was like, all right, I'm going to curl and let the ref know I'm done. The ref will come save me. Right before the fight, one of the commissioners, or the matchmaker guys that I know, and he likes me, and he was like, he helped me set up the fight, comes up to me, he goes, hey, when you drop him, don't rush the finish, because Montana refs are going to let it go. They'll let it go, and you'll gas. So just take your time. I said, okay. And I remember, so I'm sitting there curling the corner, and he is now on top of me, and he's fully loading back, and he's ripping into me now. And I'm being a good old chap, and I'm eating him. So I'm just sitting there, boom! I'm like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's switching hands, he's elbowing, everything. I'm like, okay. And I'm curled, and I'm just taking my licks. And that voice came in my head. It was like, they're going to let it go. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, well, I've eaten 6 shots now, refs should know. I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I was like, okay, he's going to step in soon. And it was like 12, 30. I ate like 30 strikes. Hard. No defense, no conscious defense on my end. I curled and just sat there and took it. And I remember sitting there going, this motherfucker's going to let me die.
Yeah.
He's going to let me die. And he fucking finally, I reach out and I'm like, fucking, like, stop. And the ref finally stops the fight, whatever. I think I tapped 2 even, like, let him know. I mean, it's like, yeah, I did. I tapped on the mat. I eventually had to tap to strikes, like the biggest bitch move in MMA on top of that. But that's all right, whatever. Well, yeah, we can fight about it, but
I was about to say, let's unpack that.
Yeah, fucking fight me. So, but the ref pulls him off. I remember sitting there, and like the octagon's like, spinning and then coming back, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, I just got fucked up. Like, I just got fucked up. And I sit up for a second, my corner rushes in, and I'm just like, hey, I'm good. And I'm just like trying to get my head regained, and like I finally get enough to where I can stand up, like took like 10 seconds. And I get up and I'm like, I just like immediately I'm more worried about my team now and everyone because my whole family's there. So I'm like patting them. I'm like, hey guys, I'm good. And then I walk over to him and he's flipping off people in my crowd. I don't even know what the hell's going on. I'm out of it. I'm like walking up and I'm like smiling at him. I'm like, you fucking got me, dude. I was like, damn. So I give him a hug, whatever. I was like, you got me, dude. And he was like, fuck, you got me. I was like, we got each other. And I was like, but you kind of won. So we're sitting there and we did the whole thing. And then they wanted me to give a speech after because they wanted to talk to me. And I was like, fuck. And I remember my neighbor, he just got diagnosed with cancer. He's an older guy and I always helped him out. So anytime he needed anything computer or anything like that, I've been helping him out. And so when he got diagnosed with cancer and I was offered the fight, I was like, hey, don't worry. I was like, I promise you I'm going to win this fight. You're going to beat cancer, the whole nine, you know what I mean? So I like gave a speech and I like shouted it out. And I'm so grateful that, because you're not supposed to interview fighters when they're fucked up, but I got to give the speech. And I was like, Eric, I was like, you know, like, even though I lost, like, you're still going to beat cancer, you know? And then so when I showed him the video, he fucking broke down crying. It was like a beautiful thing. And so I got that moment, which was cool. But yeah, and then I went down, walked out of the cage. I sat there and I saw my mom first, and everyone's crying. And I was like, hey, I was like, I'm good. And I was like, look, they were like, your face is bad, I'm bleeding. And I was like, yeah, I was like, probably broke my eye. I was like, but the hand is bad. And I was like, that's what's pissing me off because I'm going to have to get surgery on the hand, take another 6 months off. I just did a surgery. Mm-hmm. So I was like, fuck. So I chatted with them a bit, got them all good, and then we're going to the ER. And I remember, like, we're quiet in there, and I'm kind of breaking down. And I was like, fuck. And I was just like, to work this hard for this long and to have your dreams kind of fall apart in front of you. And so I'm getting a little emotional. And then I just remember I, like, took a breath, and, like, it was all quiet in the car. And I was like, oh, fuck, everyone's depressed. I, like, turned around, and I looked at my girlfriend. I was like, you know, if you fucking leave me, you're shallow. And then everyone started dying laughing. And then from there, it was like, all right, good vibes now. Like,
she's probably okay, cool, yeah, good deal. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so we went to the ER. It was a fiasco. The ER was like a bunch of dickheads. They were super rude to me, which was hilarious. I remember the one lady. I was like, oh, are you having a bad night at work? I was like, me too. I'm fucking bleeding. Pam's all
a broken eye, lady.
Yeah, she just fucking give me attitude. But so, anyways, though, I get home. I'm deep into like nutrition, health and wellness, and everything like that. And I want to get into that right after this because I have a few questions for you too. But when I'm a week into my recovery, I started typing out all my notes I wanted for concussions and concussion protocols because I was like, all right, I have so much concussion information, what you should do. I want to get it on paper so I don't have to think about it. And I actually ended up writing a whole ebook on concussion protocol.
Wow.
And it was hilarious because it's so well written and I wrote it concussed. I was like, it's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
So I went through it all and I started giving it out to people for free, you know, because like that's like, you know, I have an ebook that I might eventually sell on like performance and athletic ability. Mm-hmm. But for concussions and stuff, I would never sell a book on like information like that could help change someone's life. Like the brain is serious. So I was giving it out and I'm a week in and I'm still dizzy as can be. The bruising's down, everything, but like I lay down and the room spins. I'm like kind of like trouble thinking. I'm irritable. Everything seems black and white. Like the shine of the world is gone. Like there's a filter and like a little depressed. Rightfully so, but like it's not like depressed situation. I could just feel my energy shit. Like it was a bad concussion. 30 strikes. Like I was fucked. And my buddy hit me up, Wes Collins. He's out of San Diego. Great follow on Instagram. Little esoteric health and wealth performance guy. And he hit me up. He was like, dude, great ebook. He goes, what about methylene blue? And I responded and I was like, I've heard about methylene blue, but like it's nothing serious, it's kind of controversial. He goes, look into it again. I said, okay. So I remember I put the phone down, I started researching methylene blue a little bit, and you got to get through the first layer. Like, the problem with learning nowadays is we don't have to get on a boat for 6 months to meet a grandmaster and then sit with him for 2 weeks and then another boat 6 months back and try to retain it. Mm-hmm. We get a Google shit, but it makes you lazy as well as a learner. And so if it's not, how many times have you gone to the second page of a Google search?
Yeah, it's pretty rare, 100%.
Pretty fucking rare.
Pretty rare.
And like, yeah, you're never going to
and you get like millions of clicks. That's a good point. You get like millions of results, and then you focus on like the first 4.
Exactly. You're never on the second page of Google. So I started to like actually go into PubMed and looking up documents on methylene blue, and I was like, what the fucking fuck? Like, excuse me, but are you kidding me right now with methylene blue? Like, how much it can do? And I said, this shit is snake oil, baby. Snake oil.
Yeah.
So I finally found a way to, like, order some powder from India. I get it. I get it here. I'm doing calculations, concuss as shit. I remember I have a video of me, like, asking Alexa a million times, like, calculations to make sure I'm not overdosing. Eventually, I get it in a syringe, and I'm like, I think this is 10 milligrams. I don't know. And I shoot it. And I'm, like, dying. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's, like, first time doing it, methylene blue. It tastes like ass. My tongue's blue. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay. And it's, like, 20 minutes later. And I'm like, wow. I said, like, I don't feel like shit right now. And I'm like, okay. Like, whatever. And I was like, I have a little bit of energy. And so I remember that day I had a little bit of energy. It was the first time in a while. I said, well, methylene blue maybe helped, but I've been on a fucking strict concussion protocol. Like, I just cut almost 20 pounds for a fight, and then I'm in keto again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I'm doing everything by the book. I was like, maybe it's that. Next day I do it some more the next day, and I notice my energy's up a little bit. And my mood's a little there now. Like, I don't feel as black and white. So, okay, that's beautiful. Third day I lay down, and the spins are gone completely. And I was like, holy shit. And I go, okay. I go, it's 100% me doing everything right and adding methylene blue. But that shit, there's something to it. So I continue taking it. And I do higher doses, I do lower doses. Everything feels the same. I don't notice any difference. A week later after that, so I'm like about a full week of methylene blue in, and I feel like a normal human being again. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And I'm getting back to training, and I'm getting my cardio up, and I'm reincorporating carbohydrates now, and I'm having no symptoms. And about another 3 to 5 days after that, and I go, I feel fucking superhuman. And I'm going, what the hell is going on? I'm the happiest I've been. I'm the most motivated I've been. I just lost my pro debut on my story that I was like, oh, I'm ready to go 10-0 and make the UFC. And I get my face shattered in front of my family, you know what I mean? And, like, I'm like, what? Like, why am I so happy right now? Why am I operating better? My memory's better. The way you know when you think a thought and you're trying to get your, like, words out, and sometimes you're like, oh, what's that word? And dude, there's none of that. Like, I can literally, like, conjugate so much out of my brain into, like, verbal and communicate it. I can communicate my feelings better, like when I'm talking to my girlfriend, and, like, I can relay messages, and I'm not, like, I'm not, like, getting my message across in a way that they're not taking it well. Like, I'm understanding how to communicate better to where I can give it an easy to digest form.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, there's no way that I didn't feel like this the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what the hell? I was like, at one point I thought I had long haul COVID because I caught it twice or 3 times. And I was like, maybe like the methylene blue is the real deal. And so I really deep dove the research. So I got Mark Sloan's book. I started just sitting on PubMed for hours, going on Ben Greenfield, biohackers who are using it. Yeah, and just really, like, diving into it. And I start realizing what happens. And it makes sense now. So I was like, okay, how could this one compound do everything? So quick backstory is it was a textile dye. They made methylene blue to dye fabric. They realized, it works well in the medical field because you can dye cells with it. If they're dead, they'll stay blue. You know, living cells will go through it and the blue will go away. And then they started to realize when they were putting it on things, like, we're having some effects. So they go, holy shit. And I think it was 1891, they started using it for medical uses. And the original purpose of methylene blue was it was an anti-malaria drug.
Mm-hmm.
And they used it in World War I, and they stopped using it in World War II because people complained of their pee turning blue or green. So I was like, okay, well, that's dumb. But anyways, so they were using it. So hydroxychloroquine, the compound got a little bit of steam because it's anti-malaria medication they use during COVID. That its parent compound is methylene blue. So methylene blue got synthesized again and again into chloroquine and then I believe the end result was hydroxychloroquine. So that's actually a distant relative of methylene blue. So they started using it for that, and then they realized, like, like schizos, bipolar people, all these people with issues, they come in and we give them methylene blue and they act better. So they started using it as a psychiatric drug as well. And it kept going, and it had its uses for a ton of different things. And then through basically pharmaceutical marketing and lobbying and just like, I'm gonna buy your glass bottle, which I bought, by the way. I'm so stoked for that. You have no idea.
Look,
yes. Dude, I was just showing my girlfriend that, and like literally it was like the universe put you in front of me. It was like, I was like, I need a glass bottle with like a cork top. Like, I hate my hydro flask.
Hey, man.
Next day I see your thing.
That's not a coincidence, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You hit me up, actually. You hit me up. I didn't even see your thing. You hit me up, and I see your glass. I was like, done.
Yeah, I told somebody about that too, and I don't want to get too far away from where you are, but I remember I hit you up. I saw you were doing Meraki. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yep.
So I remember I saw you doing that. I was like, I had just started following you a little bit because, I mean, obviously you're like tapped into the Soul Bra, all that, like Noah Ryan, all those guys. And
Soul Club, baby.
Oh, yeah, man. It's legit.
It's so legit.
And I started, side note on that. This is my first month, ton of value. I've really enjoyed it. Just a good network of people, all very supportive. But, yeah, I hit you up and I saw you doing Meraki. I was like, hey, man, like just out of curiosity, because it was like you putting orders in the mailbox. I'm like, hey, did you do like this launch by yourself? Do you do all this stuff? And then your receptiveness was, I just thought it was very cool. I was like, well, I've never met this guy, and he's actually giving me positive, like really insightful feedback. I was like, let me do a little bit. So I went like through your Twitter, your Instagram a little bit. I was like, okay, I want to talk to this guy. So I was like, hey man, I got a podcast. You want to by chance come on? And here we are, bro. And then you were like, what's your product, by the way? And I was like, here you go.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, kind of meant to be. I'll get into that too, because the synchronicities and shit, like, I would be an idiot now to not pay attention to them. It'd be illogical for me as like a person with high like intelligence and intellect and like to not now start following my intuition and synchronicities and things like that just because of how many times they have happened. But yeah, so I literally, your glass bottle popped right in my face. So I was like, it was amazing.
Here we go.
That immediately. So I'm
excited.
I
can't wait to drop some methylene blue in this puppy.
Dude,
there
yes. Have you got any yet?
No, dude. I wanted to talk to you first. To get a little better, because Francisco Lima or something. Have you heard that guy's name?
Possibly. Lima sounds familiar.
I listened to a podcast. He's like a neurosurgeon at University of Texas Austin, and he's done a ton of research on it. And I listened to it like 2 days ago, and I was like, okay, this stuff seems legit, because I do a lot of research like yourself before I add something to my stack or add something to my life, and it's starting to get a little bit irrefutable. I mean, there's really, I haven't heard a bad thing about it yet.
Yep. No, it's the worst thing that will happen is you don't notice too much of effect. And I think I'm boiling that down to, if you don't notice an effect, you don't have that much mitochondrial dysfunction. Mm-hmm. Like, those are the only people I could see who don't notice effect. I literally, my one buddy in California this weekend, I saw him and he was going to order a bottle, or, I told him, I was like, hey, I'll get you a bottle. And then I was like, oh, I'm going back to Cali, I'll bring it with you. I brought it with him before the fight. And he's an overweight guy. And I could see in his eyes that he has some dysfunction. Like, literally, like, he's got red around his eyes. His eyes, like, they don't have that white tint. Mm-hmm. That's usually liver. It could be thyroid. There's a ton of different things it could be. And he took methylene blue, and 5 minutes later, my other buddy's like, hey, Vance, come here. And he's like, like, Ryan's, like, kind of, like, tripping right now. And he's like, hey, dude. He's like, I feel something. Am I okay? And I was like, yeah, you're fine. You're fine, dude. Like, trust me. He's like, okay. And I was like, what's going on? And he's like, I just feel something. I don't know what. And I go, yeah, dude. I was like, you'll feel it. And I was like telling him, I was like, dude, you did 5 milligrams. I said, if you overdosed on cyanide or Molly or anything crazy, carbon monoxide poisoning, they would shoot you up with 150 to 250 milligrams. I said, you're safe.
Of methylene blue?
Yes.
That's also just a little bit of an insight into how powerful it is.
Yeah, I'll get into that too. And, like the medical uses nowadays and like everything. But anyways, gave it to him, and it's like 45 minutes later, and he's like, he has not shut up about it. To the point where I'm like, bub, like, my buddy's fighting here. Like, Josh is fighting here soon. Like, chill. And he's like, he's over there doing more. And I was like, but like, it's not coffee. You're not gonna feel like the second cup. I was like, let it work, let it do its thing, whatever. But he was fucking geeked out on it. And I was just like, it gives me such a good feeling, because I'm like, that guy might have some serious mitochondrial dysfunction. He might have some serious like cellular metabolic issues. And like, if that's fixing it and he can live a better life, holy shit. Like, that makes me feel amazing,
Getting goosebumps. The thing about that too is, I mean, we could talk about this for hours. Just the amount of stress, inflammation, toxins, and just overall just disgusting negativity or negative things like for our health that we're surrounded by. I bet you
Yeah.
the vast majority of people are mitochondrially dysfunctional.
All of them.
100% metabolically dysfunctional.
All
More
of
than
them.
half the world or the Western world is hypothyroidic, I think.
Yeah.
Just all this crazy stuff that's going on. So the
It's the
idea,
West.
yeah, it is
It
100%,
is.
100%.
Yeah.
But
It's. I mean, you. Let's look in the sky. I'll give you the one variable with chemtrails, but let's say they're not real, but let's say they are real. Okay, so that's like barium and aluminum, which spells out Bale, which is a whole nother rabbit. That's my fun one. That's my one like tinfoil hat
Yeah.
one I get into. But let's just say they spray the sky with heavy metals, or they don't. Okay, well, your tap water shit. Your tap water has pharmaceuticals in it. If you're in the Midwest, you have deuterium in it, which is heavy hydrogen. That is 100% smashing your mitochondria. Okay, you have a diet full of shit. So seed oils, the big debate with seed oils. I'll explain it in a real simple layman terms. Okay, omega-6 acids that are rancid. Okay, are free radical acids. They're rancid acids. So you have oxidized linoleic acid going in you, okay, or linoleic acid. And you're using those fatty acid compounds for structures in your body like cardiolipin, which is this, I believe, the cell membrane around the mitochondria. So they're using a damaged fatty acid that is going to look to steal electrons, because that's what a free radical does, on healthy cells. And you use that, and you're telling me in 30 years after consistently doing that, you're not going to have full body mitochondrial dysfunction, because all the fatty acids, or 20% or more of your diet, is full of oxidized fucking bullshit. And then so when you have damaged cardiolipin and you have impaired mitochondrial function from seed oils, you have pharmaceuticals, deuterium water, you have, I mean, the list goes on.
polyester, you have sunscreen, you have been like all this. It's
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's why I tell people the best time to be alive is today. Okay, don't because like we can live like our ancestors did. We have access to everything. It just takes a little bit of awareness, And like I could go get raw liver from the store,
You could order it online. You could have somebody ship you some pasture raised raw liver to your house.
Exactly. I have every defense I need. Yeah, it takes a little bit of work, but so did our ancestors. It took a lot more work to get their meat. Maybe it takes less work for me to get my meat. It takes me more work to be knowledgeable. And I made a video and it popped off on Instagram. It's still blowing up. It's viral. But I was basically like, some people will study cars for 10 years to become a mechanic expert. Some people will study, whatever it may, like IT for 10 years to be an expert in security. But you'll live in your body your whole life. And most people will remain a fucking amateur in their body on how it works, what makes them feel good, what they're sensitive to, what's not good for them, what's good for them. And it's like, you're going to remain an amateur in the one fucking thing that matters, but you're going to know more about a fucking Sony camera and aperture than like, what's wrong with fucking Wendy's? It's like, get out of here.
Yeah, that's actually the video. I'm not kidding you. I remember seeing that. That's the video. I was like, okay, I gotta tap into this guy, see what's up, because that's so true. And I tell people that all the time, bro. Just your body is the vessel with which everything else happens. Every single other thing in life happens through your body. Yes. So if your body is dysfunctional, what do you think your life is going to be like? So it should, in my opinion, I'm no expert in really anything. We can get into what tyro means, but if you don't if that's not your utmost priority to take care of your physical being, then I think you're doing it wrong, frankly.
Exactly, dude. It's you need it makes everything else better. And as soon as I started doing like really, really going deep into health and like what works for me and like getting away from the dogma, because everyone goes through the same health journey. You start getting healthy, you're like, oh, fuck calories, water. And then you're like, oh, macros. And then you're like, oh, micronutrients. Oh, shit, sunlight. Oh, shit, clean water. And then you get holistic. And then you realize everything kind of always circles back down to like what nature is providing for us. Like, it's always, every answer always goes back to nature. Whether it's, curing a disease with phytohormesis, which is like basically eating plants that are kind of bad for you and end up being beneficial, like, or it's like you just need to get your fucking feet in the ground and get some sunlight. Whatever.
And these are things that people intuitively did for thousands and thousands of years.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
It's just interesting. And then a part of the health journey too, I think maybe different people have it on different like timelines, but for me at least, and several people I've talked to, you start learning about micros, you start learning about these different things, and then you're like, oh wait, we're being poisoned. Like all the good things are literally being undermined by all these incredibly bad things that are mainstream. And so then you start going down the conspiracy truth rabbit holes, and that's a whole nother part of it.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, like I get into like I was out on we took a family cruise 2 weeks ago. My girlfriend and my main teammate, my best friend Victor, his uncle.
Right on.
He gets on a cruise every year, and I give him shit. And I'm like, when the fuck are you taking us? Because he gambles so much,
Yeah.
so he gets free cruises. And so he finally booked it, and I was like, Meraki just like literally 3x the week before, and I was like, I cannot get on this cruise right now. So it was a late night every single night, early morning, just to get on this cruise. But we're sitting there on the cruise, and I'm having a little drink. I maybe get drunk like twice a year, max.
I'm the exact same way. Like very, very rarely will I get drunk. I'll have a drink every once in a while, but it's not like
Yeah, exactly. So and I'm drunk, and this girl at the pool's like, "Why aren't you wearing sunscreen?" I was like, "Oh, motherfucker, let's get into it." And so she's arguing with me, dude. I remember this girl's heavier set, and she's like coming at me, and I'm like, well, let's just ask the question: how many studies have you actually read on melanoma? She's like, none. I was like, we can go there. She's like, but you sell supplements. And I was like, okay. And she's like, so she's getting into it. And I was just like, look, like, I was like, if you really truly believe the ball in the fire, in the sky that keeps us all alive, it might be good for us as long as we don't have a shitty diet so our body's redox status is all poor, you know what I mean? And like, maybe that thing's good for you. And like everyone who gets cancer usually has lower vitamin D levels because they're wearing sunscreen and they go out in the middle of the day with sunglasses on and their body doesn't know what to signal. I was like, all right, that's fine. She was like, whatever. She was like, I'll see you in 20 years when you have cancer, skin cancer. And I was like, no, you won't, because you're pre-diabetic. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah, like we need to figure some other things out before we go down that rabbit hole with you specifically. But
yeah,
it is funny because like you asked the question about studies, and I need to be better about this as well. I think a lot of people do, but we feel so inclined to speak about things that we really don't know about because you're like, oh well, sunscreen's bad. Okay, why? Well, because skin cancer. Okay, who told you that? You mean the billions and billions and billions of dollars of marketing and altered studies that these companies pay for and then shove down your throat? Yeah, of course it's going to tell you to buy their fucking product. Like, what do you? It's literally what happens in every industry. So that's a pretty. I wish that conversation was on video.
It was hilarious. I walked by. I didn't say it to her because I'm not going to be rude. Yeah. I'm not, you know what I mean. And like, at the end of the day, we were joking too, and like I try to leave people a little bit happier than when I met them.
Yeah.
Always, you know what I mean. And we were walking with my buddy Victor, and I was like, he was like 20 years. I'm not gonna have skin cancer. I was like, she ain't making 20. She's gonna fucking pre-diabetic, bud.
Dude, I tweeted this the other day. I was like, you're doing something right when your buddies reluctantly tell you they use sunscreen. I had one of my buddies. He was like, dude, just want you to know, I do use sunscreen. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah,
we're done.
Get out of here. No, but I just thought that was funny. But that's a good story though. Back to the actual medical use of methylene blue, if you don't mind, just so.
No, yeah, 100%. So what we left off was, through like lobbying and stuff, how like I bought your glass bottle and everything. Like that's kind of how methylene blue got pushed away. So it started to get a research. It's used now modern day for methylglobinemia, which is basically if you overdose and your body is having trouble getting oxygen to certain areas of the body through a bunch of different mechanisms, but basically it boils down to like kind of an anemia way. So if you like, let's say you overdose on cyanide, or I think even like hard drugs, or like carbon monoxide poisoning, what they'll do is they'll shoot up 1 to 2 milligrams per kilogram in body weight. So you could be like 150 to almost a 200 milligram dose of methylene blue, and it'll counteract it. So what it does is it'll get in and be a powerful antioxidant for the cell to protect its the mitochondria, especially against damage from the oxidative stress of, let's say, carbon monoxide, and then it actually upregulates oxygen to all the parts of the body that aren't getting it. So why is that powerful when you have a concussion? Well, there's a ton of reasons. When you have a concussion and your brain smacks, like, you need to really start remembering your brain's floating around fluid in your skull. Mm-hmm. And so I did a video in Soul Club, actually, on strikes. I remember I broke it down. I was like, look at this check hook I land. And I was like, you got to remember, like, when this happens, the brain right there is sitting still, and the skull actually smacked into the brain. And then as my head went back, the skull smacked on the other side. And it's jarring like that. When you get that big, like, impact on the brain, it's damage, and you get inflammation and everything. Damaged neurons and the tissue and everything in the brain, the main thing that goes wrong, and this is why a ketogenic diet might be beneficial, is you get an energy crisis in the brain. and the neurons in the brain cells actually have a tough time digesting and processing glucose now. So when you switch your energy source, something cleaner like ketones, it speeds up the healing process. And a lot of the symptoms from a concussion, which will actually, most of them will come from neck stiffness. That is something to duly note as well. But if you're actually having damaged neurons and things like that, it's going to come from the energy crisis in the brain. That's why you're tired. That's why your memory's shit. That's why you're irritable. And what methylene blue does is, one, it's going to get more oxygen to the brain, which is going to heal it, okay? Two, it's going to go in and be a powerful antioxidant on the mitochondria and all the cells in the brain as well. So it's going to lower the oxidative stress of the impact. And then on top of that, it's going to help glucose digestion. So it gets in the brain and it's going to help the cells start using the fuel that it needs to actually work and repair and recover. So that's why it was so profound in healing me from all my symptoms, like right off the bat. That's why concussion, biggest thing is like cut inflammatory foods, do all that. Some fasting's good, some BDNF. The best my brain has ever felt like without methylene blue is when I did a 3-day fast, kind of resets everything.
Really? Dude, I've literally, this morning I talked to my brother. I was like, dude, we should do a 72-hour fast. I've never done one before. The longest I've ever done was like almost 40, but
yeah, that's a good one.
72 is.
Yeah, I could do it. It was the sleep, but you know what? I'm well more versed in minerals now. And back then I was like, I don't need any minerals because I don't want to fuck with the fast. And I was like, that was the dumbest thing ever. I would do it with shilajit now.
Yeah.
And magnesium and a lot of sodium, because I would make like a sodium water, and then there's a thing called new salt, which is I think like potassium and some other shit. And when I would make that concoction, drink it, I'd have energy for like 20 minutes through the roof, and then I'd start to crash again. So the only reason I feel like it was tough is because my electrolytes were depleted. You there?
Yeah, I think my Wi-Fi is getting a little shoddy, but hopefully.
Yeah, there you are. But yeah, the 72-hour fast is good. So methylene blue, modern day is good for that. Then we have the pandemic, and people are looking for alternative treatments. Methylene blue gets a huge rise in notoriety again because of how well it does during COVID. There's a ton of mechanisms that cause it, like oxygen, getting oxygen in struggling parts of the body. What was one of the biggest reasons people were going on respirators was lack of oxygen. Antioxidant for the cell. It's antiviral. It is a known malaria medication. The parasitic infection of malaria, it'll wipe that, but it's also antiviral, antibacterial. That's why if you don't get pharmaceutical grade methylene blue, you could throw it in like a fish tank and it'll clean the fish tank.
Yep.
It has all these uses, and so that's like one of the biggest things I combat. They're like, oh, it's fish cleaner. It's like, that's not pharmaceutical grade. Like, yeah, if you want arsenic and cadmium, have fun.
Well, that's just like the freaking grade. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say it's just like that horse tranquilizer debate with Joe Rogan. It's like, dude, it's so far out of context that it's not even in the conversation. And then these media companies, and I actually in a podcast I listened to recently, I learned about it was the RFK Joe Rogan podcast, dude. I don't know if you listened to that. Just about
I haven't. Yeah, I need to. I saw clip-its and it seems amazing.
It was the first time I ever heard RFK speak. It was very interesting, but he talks about how just the regulatory process of the FDA and how it actually, as you can imagine, was just so fucked in terms of COVID and the vaccine, and how if they found other efficacious ways of treating COVID, they wouldn't have been able to do the expedient, what do you call it? Like the expedient verification of the vaccine. Like they wouldn't have pushed it so quickly because they would have had to do extra testing. But since it was like the only efficacious way of treating it, they didn't do anything else. But like if methylene blue, whatever Joe Rogan took, I can't remember the exact name. But
ivermectin.
Yeah, so if they had shown that those were efficacious, then the COVID vax would have had to been like redacted or some weird thing like that. Listen to the podcast to find out more. Yeah.
So Matt Blackburn was selling methylene blue during COVID, and he said it on his podcast. He had like $70K in his PayPal account, which I don't know his margins, but I don't have $70K in my fucking PayPal account. Okay, I'm not running big margins on this, but he woke up one day and fucking got shut down. PayPal account disappeared, everything like that. So they were going after people.
Wow.
With it. Yeah. So I have to be very, very careful with it. So like on my bottle right here, like it says for research purposes only, and it doesn't say supplement facts and anything like that. I have to be careful, but the CDC, the FDA, the three-letter orgs, they're going to come for me one day. no matter what.
Yep.
Especially now because it's gaining notoriety. And people are going to be feeling very fucking good. And they're going to come for me. And I will fucking just watch Andrew Tate for 3 months and figure out how to circumnavigate this shit.
Yep.
But they're going to come.
Yeah.
They're going to. I'm about to segregate my companies, I believe, to have 2 different ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the methylene blue dropper company. And then anything else I do, I'll have in a separate shell company just in case they do find a way to shut it down.
You mean like the separate products? I know you got like some tallows and stuff like that.
Yeah. We threw and because methylene blue is such a powerful antioxidant, we threw it in with a tallow bomb. So you get the one everyone's rubbing tallow on them, which I am too. Like, go get a small sunburn, rub some tallow on, and tell me what the hell.
Shout out Man for putting everybody on.
Exactly, dude. I fucking like that guy.
Yeah, he's
awesome. Funny. I made a tweet about that. I was like, we're competitors technically. I was like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
This guy is fucking pushing the same. My agenda
100%.
is to heal people. My company's name is Medicinal, which is a whole nother bag of worms because everyone thinks I'm selling marijuana and weed. So banks don't want to fund me. It's so much bullshit. Amazon, I can't post on Amazon because I have Medicinal in the name. But it truly is a performance enhancing but longevity and disease free company. That's my goal of this company.
That's awesome.
Originally, I was just gonna make a pre-workout because fighting sucks in terms of money, and like I wanted to have a second company, and I don't like pre-workouts because they're shit. I want to make like a holistic pre-workout, which I did, and that's Zeus Juice, and it's amazing. But that's when I was like, well, like. This is a disease prevention company. You can't really see it on the bottle because me and my girlfriend fight on the label. She does all the design. Yeah. So she's a fucking amazing. Because if not, this would look like I drew it with a crayon. I'm telling you. But I have 3 initials on the bottle. I have my grandma. I have Eric Murray, that guy I told you about who was battling cancer. And I have my grandpa who died of leukemia. My grandma had pancreatic cancer. She actually beat it before she died. But my grandma was a legend, so she's on the bottle. But those are 3 people who had disease that I lost in my life that mean a lot to me. And so that's a quick and gentle reminder of me of like what I'm doing it, why I'm doing it for. So when those 3-letter orgs come for me and they want to take everything away from me, that's fine. And they might be able to. And that's why I was thinking of like make it so they can, but I can keep just making a new company, and getting this out there. Because I do not care what people think of me. I do not care what is right or wrong in the law book for them. What I'm doing is I'm fighting a fight in my head to help people feel better in a world that is fucking poisoned. And if I can sell the antidote, whatever, and get it to people, or I can even give it out for free or whatever it may be, like, I'm going to do that 10 out of 10 times. You know what I mean? Like, by no means am I fucking rolling in any dough right now. I'm telling you that right now. I'm a full-time contractor. Yeah. So I make decent money contracting, okay? And that money goes into this company. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not pulling fucking bags and shit out. I make money. I know how to make money. I do IT, low voltage cameras for all the marijuana companies. Like, I'm well versed in that. Like, this is a fulfilling like journey I'm on. Like, I don't get fulfillment from giving someone a security system. It's cool, yeah. Or fixing someone's fucking printer. Yeah. That's cool. I get fulfillment from knocking people out and then giving them.
Hey, that's the key right there, dude. That's hilarious. That would be the best advertisement ever if you just beat the shit out of somebody and then like on the mat, like hand them a bottle and then get them to like 2 weeks.
I won't do it, dude. It's disrespect. I'd have to hate the person, you know.
Yeah. No,
but even
awesome.
then, like I had a fucking cunt headbutt me at weigh-ins. Mm. We're fucking boys now. Yeah. You know, I beat him in the fight. He was like headbutting me at weigh-ins. We were getting into it. He's my boy now. Yeah. Like we had our scuffle. So
it's that, like we were talking, like to harken back to that just respect thing. But in terms of, I don't know if I'm assuming that you're aware of Jordan Peterson and just like his ideology. I'm reading his book right now, 12 Rules for Life, and one of the recent rules, basically he talks about the idea of what is good, like what is bad, what is good, and he goes into that, and he's like, okay, well,
subjective.
Exactly, but he argues that lessening the unnecessary suffering in the world is a worthy cause, and that sounds exactly like what you're doing. That's exactly what I'm trying to do with people not poisoning themselves with plastic. It's the exact reason that I even started my new Instagram. There was a while where I was like, dude, fuck social media. It's like, and Solbra actually was really impactful for that for me. I would love to hear your story on that, on like your social media journey, because once again we met via social media. My first podcast guest through that, which I think is very cool. But I kind of thought about it in my head. I'm like, okay, well, can social media be good? I'm like, well, I guess it could, because of accounts like Solbra. I'm like, okay, I've definitely learned a lot, and my life has changed positively because of him. So it can be used as good. So it's just interesting how that works out, and I want to hear your story about that if you don't mind sharing, like, about the social media journey.
Yeah, I think if everyone in the world follows Soul Bra, 100%, the world would be a better place.
I,
That's, and it's like when I first saw this guy, I was just like all right, like, you know, shredded guy making some videos, blurred face, and then no, I was like you said, you start following him, you're like, oh shit, you know, you like he's an authentic person who created a symbol, and that's the cool thing. I love what he did with the symbol. It's like Batman.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, why bats? He was like, because a man can be killed, a symbol cannot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I learned that in fighting. And it's kind of like the Conor McGregor effect. Like, you're not seeing real Conor. You're seeing the symbol of him. Like Floyd Mayweather, you're seeing their egos. And those are almost like brands. You can't kill a brand.
No.
You know, you can't knock out a heavy bag. But you can beat a man. So as long as you can make people believe you're bigger than something than what you are, you can get a message across easier. So it could be good or bad. But what he's doing, he's getting a message across. And they're not tying it to, you're a person with these things, yada, yada. He still is, but since you're not relating with the face, you have this image. We don't know Soul Bra's name. And even when you say Soul Bra, I don't like... When you say Vance, I feel like you're talking about Vance.
Yeah.
But when I say Soul Bra, you're talking about an idea. So it's a cool thing. But yeah, the more I joined Soul Club, one of the best decisions ever. Business-wise, esoteric health-wise, everything like that. Met some of the best people ever. Helped get my Twitter started, which is like doing amazing things for business, and it's helping me connect with like... Dude, I want to delete everything and just be on Twitter now. Yeah. It's one of the funnest places in the world.
I recently joined Twitter like a couple months ago, and I held off. The esoteric health community on Twitter is a phenomenal resource. Phenomenal.
Yes. And the people there are cool as hell. And most people are authentic and they're joking, you know, and they're, you know, it's amazing, dude. I love it. But then I've and then being personal with Soul Bar, like our messages and everything like that, like that's a stand-up guy. That is a solid stand-up guy. He is multiple times, like, he could have gotten things off of me. He could have asked for, you know, so many things. He has helped me and helped my business tremendously. Just out of, like, oh, I like what you're doing. Here you go. Yeah. And I was like, wow. There's some other people, like Noah Ryan also. I don't know if you know
Oh,
Noah
dude, he's
Ryan
got some banger tweets.
Dude, that guy, just same exact thing. We had a phone call, and he just massively helped me out for no reason. I was like, what the hell? Like, you know, and I think it's because this community is an authentic community. Just like, if I see somebody out there who's doing something that's like they're trying to help or whatever, I'm not gonna care. I'm gonna do whatever I can to help. I'm not gonna be like, hey, but can you help my brand? Yeah. It's not about that. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't hit you and be like, oh, I'll go on public. You send me a bottle and da-da-da. You know, like something stupid. Like, no. I'm gonna support you, and like that's the way it goes.
And I'll support you.
He's
exactly.
really... Yeah, he walks the walk and he talks the talk.
Well, I think it goes back to what you're talking about in terms of like lessening the suffering. You're trying, like your company, the reason you started and the why and the values behind that company, that's no different than Soul Bra's, all of his companies, more or less. Any number of people that are subsets of that, because realistically, I don't know anybody who was in that sort of social media esoteric health space before him. But it's if that's the overall ethos of the community, then it's just this incredible like spider web of positivity. It's like one person helps this person, and this person helps this person, so on and so forth, and then people get healed and people live better quality lives. And I think that's a damn cool thing. Like, for example, I posted something in, actually you were part of the reason I was thinking about joining Soul Club, and then you told me, hey, just join Soul Club. I love it. I was like, I'll try it. Within one day, I posted something in like the brand builders section of Discord. This lady just sends me like a 15-minute voice memo about launching a product and all this stuff. I'm like, I've never met you before. You just 15 minutes of your time, incredibly detailed, incredibly thoughtful. I'm like, yeah, I'll probably stay in this club for a little bit. Yeah. You remember I said about infantry and special forces? Mm-hmm. It's like you go in there, you're going to get specialized treatment, mm-hmm. like, and everyone's got your back. Like, that's like, it's truly like a brotherhood. Like, if I see that little sun emoji in someone's name on Twitter, it's like, first off, I know they probably get it. Mm-hmm. It's a follow, and then I'm supporting. Yeah. Because that's the support I get too. And it's like, that's honestly, you need to have that kind of that team to get far in this life. And that's part of the cool. And the other thing, I think it would be foolish to not recognize the fact that Soul Bra is also, and this is what you're doing. Like, obviously, you said that you're not high margins and stuff like that, and the bottle as well. But the idea that you can also craft a cool lifestyle, a financially free and liberated lifestyle through that network while you are still impacting people positively is, I think, one of the cooler things about social media, if not the coolest thing.
That's the dream right there, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, like someone was commenting because he posted him drinking raw milk in a Ferrari. And they were like, oh, you're selling $50 shorts. Da, da, da. I'm like,
I don't give a shit.
good.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, 100%.
Dude, you know what I mean? Like, if you're upset, go do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that simple. I stopped, and this is part of the reason I got into it, of like, you know, wanting to build a business. I've actually, like, I'm really kind of, it's kind of weird to say, I'm done prize fighting. And what I mean by that is I'm not done fighting at all, by any means. I'm done trying to put myself on the B side to be a prize fighter for owing $50 a fight. You know what I mean? Like, it is my passion, it's fulfilling, but it's not going to be my career. It is going to be what I do for the next 6 years. Nothing's changing. I'm still fighting. I still want to go to Japan and fight. I have big goals, but I'm not going to put myself second to a 3-letter organization like the UFC, get treated bad, not have my health a priority, not have my career, my brand a priority, just so I could fight for them because I need to be in the UFC. They literally, you start seeing who pulls the strings and you're like, oh, we're getting fucked here.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let them do that to me. I will fight low-level orgs. I'll fight in Japan. I will fight my whole life. It's what I love to do, and I truly believe I'm one of the best fighters on this planet, and when I reach my max potential, like, I will be the best fighter on this planet. And I just am not going to go around, though, like, letting them can dictate my story is all. I'm not going to put myself second because I need to have the UFC belt or whatever it may be. I see the game. I understand business better. I understand everything better, and they're fucking fighters.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see. And now we're talking head trauma, like something that I'm very, very scared of. I respect dearly and shit along those lines. And it's like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Well,
so that's where I was in Australia. I was training with Volkanovski. You know Volk?
hell yeah, he's fighting 290, right? Whenever
This weekend, baby.
Yeah.
They're all in town. I get to go hang with them.
Hell
soon.
yeah,
So
bro.
I went out with to Volk's camp before he fought Max Holloway the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it was cool because I trained with him one day, and I called my dad, and I was like, bet Volk against Max. My dad was like, yeah, and I was like, put a lot of money. He was a plus money.
Yeah.
We made a few $1,000 off that because I got insider trading.
Volk's a savage, dude. He's a
Pelosi.
savage. He's a savage.
Dude, he it's cool. I've trained at about 4 world champion gyms now. So I've trained at Extreme Couture in Vegas. I've trained at Demetrius Johnson's gym in Washington.
Buddy
I've
is
trained
crazy.
in SPG Ireland. And I've trained at Freestyle MMA in Australia now.
Cool. That's in Perth, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
No. He's in Wollongong.
Oh, okay.
So it's 2 hours south of Sydney.
Okay.
And then he's even farther south of Wollongong. He's in Warilla.
Okay.
So they all sound like they named their fucking cities with peanut butter on their tongues.
Dude, I gotta
Warilla, Wollongong, Wing Dang. So.
The Volk story that I like to tell is after he lost to Islam.
Yeah.
When he was in Perth. Yeah, that was in Perth, that fight.
I believe so, yeah.
Australian home crowd, they're all booing, which is not bad or good. But then he's like, yo, like, hey, this guy, like, and he basically was like rooting him on. I was like, okay, that dude is a freaking legend of a man because he's humble enough to accept defeat even when it was contentious, like it was contended.
Yeah.
And then he's also humble enough to let that guy have his moment. That was really cool.
I've met some big names. I've been doing this for a decade. I'm in the fight game. I sparred Aljamain Sterling last Saturday, 3 rounds. So,
but he's a savage.
I've trained with multiple world champions, you know. And I'm in Vegas. I mean, you go to the PI, you're training on the same mat as Nick Diaz. You got, you know, you're just around everyone. There's about 3 ways or 2 ways I judge a person, especially a man. How hard you work. Okay, how much work you're doing, how hard you are working for your craft so that you can change the world, whatever it may be. And even if you're working smart or whatever, you built something and you're taking your foot off the gas, whatever, just like, what have you done? And the second is how well you treat your circle. And a big one on that, and this might get the boys wrong, but your partner. And if you are cheating on your partner, talking shit about your best friend, fucking over your business partner, you know what I mean? You're a piece of shit, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be tolerant, okay? And I don't care if you're a fucking world champ. I don't care if I was just with someone last weekend that very successful, you know? And it's like, if you rub me the wrong way in those areas, I don't give a fuck about you. I don't care what you have. If you're a shit person, you're a shit person, you know what I mean? And first off, Volk, not a shit person at all.
He doesn't seem like it.
Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, I've seen him. I shouldn't be saying. I've seen him fucked up in a in a day bed. Him and his boy Colby got kicked out of the pool. I'm there sober, and dude, girls are coming up and they're trying, and he's nah, have some drinks. Y'all good? Come in, hang out. But like, hard lines doesn't let them do anything, you know. And like, he's about his wife. He's about his little girls at home. He's about his team. And when I talk like work ethic, I don't think he was that skilled by the time he fought Max, because you could see his striking grow from the first fight to the last fights.
Yeah.
He's just a fucking workhorse, though. And that's what everyone should be rooting for, is the guy who's the workhorse. Because if it just comes down to work ethic, not even skill or natural ability or anything, like, he's fucking 5'6", dude. He's Frodo Baggins. And he's over here fighting guys who are 5'11", taller than him, and he's whooping their ass at range.
Yeah.
Off of hard work, and then building the skills through hard work, not natural abilities. And so that's someone everyone should root for, because it takes away the variables that are out of your control.
Yeah.
And then you start realizing, okay, if it's all variables we can control, we can all be successful.
Absolutely.
But back to the business story of it, I was in there helping him get ready for Max Holloway. And I remember someone was talking about how much he was making, and they were like pretty stoked. And they said the number, and I remember being like, that's not that high for a world title.
Yeah.
And I pulled up Sean O'Malley's pay. And it was a fraction of what Sean O'Malley gets to pay, and he's not even fighting for a title. And I remember sitting there, and I'm like, all right, I'm halfway across the world. I'm away from my family. I'm away from my girlfriend. I'm away from my dog. I was in a shit situation over there, too. Like, not bad, just we weren't doing shit.
Yeah.
I was with two brothers, they're twins, who are fighting every single day. I'm no Wi-Fi. I'm training twice a day, and we're doing fuck all in between.
Yeah.
Just sitting there. No Wi-Fi, no nothing.
Yeah.
And, like, it took us about a week before we started going to the ocean every day and doing things. And, like, I started getting some life back in me. But it was just, like, train, go sit. Train, go sit. And it was so it was prison at first. And I remember sitting there and I was like, why am I doing this? To build up the way this guy built. This guy's on a tear. He's fought some of the biggest names. And then to get paid maybe what someone who's a waitress or a waiter at a nice restaurant makes, like, more than that.
Yeah.
I said, dude, this is fucked. And I just remember sitting there, and I remember I called my girlfriend. I was like, I'm having this weird thing where, like, this shit isn't making sense anymore.
It's not
and she thought
computing.
I was talking about yeah, exactly. And, like, it was just numbers. And, like, I think she was thinking about me retiring. It was never going to happen. Yeah. It was more of, like, what are we going to do to change it? And then that's when I started realizing, like, I am not a fighter, and this is not a platform for fighters. Like, oh, we're giving you this platform. I'm a business, and they're going to use me, their business, and they are giving me their platform to tie my business name to, Vance Elrod with UFC, to raise my stock. And for that, they're not going to pay me that much, you know. They're basically paying me through other ways. So I have to be smart now, and I have to put the ball in my court and be a businessman and understand that the UFC is a platform. Just like me being on Joe Rogan as a platform, me being on anything like that as a platform. And I need to raise my own stock so that way they'll pay me more, so that they want their platform associated with my platform.
Yep.
And when you start changing the dynamics, what you think of that, it does change it. And you're like, okay, there's a business. And that's what led me down okay, I need to grow my socials. I used to be like, I love thinking of myself like Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I showed up, I fought, I posted, like, my fight, maybe a picture during training camp, but no one knew anything about me, and I loved it. And then you battle the social media demons. But just like you said, you start to realize there's a lot of good in it. A lot of good.
A lot of opportunity.
And right now, I'm thriving in it.
Yeah, there's a ton of opportunity as well, which I think is very, very, very cool. And also, I think just the idea, like, it's hard to argue the efficacy of the network that you can build using it. Like, if you're not active, I don't want to say active, but, like, you can just, like, our conversation right here, I met you literally through, like, 10th degree separation. Like, I followed somebody who followed somebody who followed somebody. So then I was like, oh, let's see if this guy, and then here we are talking, right? And it's just, you can't do that. Like, it's one of the beauties of living in the modern world, frankly.
We're going to be training together in Vegas soon.
Bro,
think about that.
Hey, I took like 2 months off the mats because I moved to Tampa for a little bit. I'm back. I'm in Austin right now. Just went to 10th Planet Austin for the first time yesterday, so I'll be there until I leave. But I have a goal of doing one MMA fight in my life.
Done. Dude, we're training.
One MMA fight.
Even if you can't train with me, I'm going to help you. Because I saw your video of you hitting on the back. Stop moving your head so much. So, like, while you're punching, it's like you can't whip the head before the hand.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be like, I put the video in Soul Club. I'm telling you, watch that. But you got to be like,
I'll watch it.
Strict frame. Yes. toes, turn the knees, turn the hip, turn the body, shoulder, and then the arm flips out, but leave the head stationary. Like your spine should be like a pole, and you're twisting on the pole.
Okay.
See how I'm not like,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. It's wasted energy.
Yeah. Well, and dude, I'm not sitting here.
Energy.
I'm extremely far from being an expert in jiu-jitsu or specifically Muay Thai and striking, but no, I love it.
So am I.
Yeah.
Am I.
So I actually talked. So like one of my best friends is a professional baseball player for the Rays. That episode actually dropped yesterday, but he talks about that. He's like, when you get to a certain level of a thing, you realize that you are literally at the bottom. And my jiu-jitsu coach, Coach Phil, on the episode 3 goes, I think this was him. When he got his black belt, his coach was like, "Welcome to jiu-jitsu," and he's like, "The fuck do you mean, welcome to jiu-jitsu?" He's like, "You have no idea."
Dude, I knew that. I had some great like blessings. I knew that early on. Back to the gym I was at, by the way. Like we had 8 guys. We went against the best teams in Vegas and all around the world. We had multiple world champions. We would go to a Naga and we would all come home with 4 gold medals because we would do our weight and no-gi, open weight no-gi, weight and gi, open weight no-gi, and then we got cool with the table people and they throw us in heavier weight classes and we go slay them.
Legit.
So we would come home with like 36 gold medals and like 6 people competing.
Yeah.
It was like we became like when we went to the big gym. I remember it was like it's like we came from like this little shack and we ended up at like the big ass high school in Laguna.
Yeah.
And when we walked in, because our coach stopped coaching at the time to sell marijuana legally in Nevada, he got one of the first licenses.
Very smart.
So we switched gyms. Huh?
Very smart.
Very smart, man. Yeah, that guy was ahead of the curve. And the way he approached jiu-jitsu, he approached business, and became successful. So, very, very good. But yeah, when we walked into the gym, I remember being like, "Oh shit, we're in the big one." And it was like a couple of days later, someone said something to one of our peeps, and they were like, "Yeah, like you guys don't understand. Like when they see you guys come in with your ransom patch, like you guys are like, oh fuck, those are those killers." And I was like, "Oh,
hey, that's a good
damn."
feeling right there. Got that like the U.S. That's how I imagine the U.S. military, like a foreign fighter back, like probably still today. But you see you see something that gives away like special operations, and you're like, "Oh shit."
Fuck, Navy SEAL.
Yeah, motherfucker. Oh, I wanted to harken on something that you mentioned, like the UFC and branding. People would talk shit on Conor McGregor, like, "Oh, he's so like egotistical or obnoxious, blah blah blah." I think, like you mentioned, you're seeing the brand Conor McGregor, and
Correct.
Who is bigger than UFC? Essentially, like
Conor.
So it's like, you can argue it, you can say it's arrogant, you can say it's obnoxious, whatever. Number one, he has basically made the sport what it is, or damn near close to what it is, because of the amount of people he's put eyes onto it. Number two, he's provided for his family financially more than you could ever imagine or hope for. I just like Floyd Mayweather, same thing for boxing. You can call it obnoxious, you can call it whatever you want. There's obviously different ways that you can go about it and build brands, but the idea of building a brand is incredibly important, I think. And that's kind of just like the far end of that spectrum doing so.
No, it is. It's 100%. It goes back to what I was talking about, like respect people. Like it's, and what I mean by that too is like I have friends who play around, but if your girl's on the same page with you, cool, and like if your people around you, like if it's your intentions with people, you know what I mean, and like you're not lying to people, you're just an honest person and stuff. And like with Conor, especially in the beginning, like that was the best mentality to have in fighting. Go watch his interview before he fought Diego Brandao with Ariel Helwani. Like all of it, like he had the right mentality, but he had to create that ego. Like, ego's not bad in the cage or the ring. You need it. You need something to carry you through it. You know what I mean? Because even my boy, before Saturday, he was fighting. And he goes, damn. He goes, because he's fighting Francisco Rivera, who's an ex-UFC vet. And he's 40 now. He's got a family. He goes, damn. He goes, I don't want to hurt him. He goes, I think I'm just going to take him down and choke him out. And I was like, first off, like, he lost the fight. So, one right there, I'm telling you right now, like, you're not respecting your opponent already because you're like, oh, you're just going to do whatever. Like, you have to treat them like they can hurt you. And two, I was like, you don't understand. I go, Josh, you guys are about to do something that, like, a very small percentage of the population gets to do. Mm-hmm. Is the closest thing to life or death you're going to feel in, like, a sanctioned arena. And I was like, and you're literally doing something so, like, sacred. You're doing combat. It's in our DNA. You're doing combat. Like close simulating death in front of a crowd for your dreams on top of that. I go, what you're about to experience in there, even though we've done this a bunch of times, is like every one of these like changes you a little bit. He's going to be able to do the same thing. He signed the contract to beat you. I was like, it is not a net negative that he goes in there and you knock him out.
Yeah.
Even. Like, I was like, honor him and treat him, respect him, and that's the best thing you can do in there. Respect him like a martial artist, and go to take his head off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a better man for it. No matter what, this is a beautiful thing we're doing. Like, win or lose or whatever, like, this is the craziest thing you can do besides, like, actual war and combat, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you're getting in there and you're going to feel some thuds. Like, you're putting everything on the line.
It is definitely in our DNA. 100% in our DNA.
Yeah.
And I think that actually harkens back to what you're talking about in terms of the 3 criteria. I can't remember what the third one was, but like basically just how hard you work and then not fucking over your people. The way that I look at it is like nowadays we're kind of, our lives are so cushioned. Like we just have such a, the threshold between where we are and like life and death is so far away now most of the time. But back in the day when we're living in a tribe, like say me, you, and 50 other people living in a tribe, if I don't trust you, that literally is life and death, because that means that you're not going to go hunt, or that means that you're not going to fight when we're in battle. And then that affects me and my family. And there's this weird disconnect nowadays where people, that's not as important to people. But for people like fighters, it's very unsurprising to hear you say that, because fighting is already a very primitive and ancestral, like you said, it's in our DNA. And I think that trust of your tribe and treating your tribe right is also in our DNA. So it's not surprising to hear that.
And dude, and you know what? Exactly what you said. And I have 2 questions for you after this. But exactly what you said is also the reason why we're in the situation we were in with the pandemic. The virtue signaling, the get your shot, whatever. Even if it doesn't make sense, not logical. It's not logical to not question science, or a vaccine that came out way fast, or COVID, or, you know, like, in trusting government. But if a monkey does not fit into that tribe, they get 86, they die. There's a new documentary, I think it was about chimps on Amazon or something. And they were showing that, like, one monkey's trying to do everything it can to fit in, and your survival directly was dependent on how well you fit in. So when I see these people who are virtue signaling, and they like, even maybe deep down, they're like, but they're just like, and I was a victim of it too. Like, I wasn't virtue signaling, but in the beginning I was like, well, if people are really dying, like, fuck, I don't want to, like, you know, be like part of the problem. You know, you're kind of thinking like that, but like that's a survival mechanism.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's survival brain, there's success brain. And most of the time, 90% of the time, you're operating off survival. What are you doing to survive? To harp over to the success brain, which is a lot more applicable nowadays, because we're gonna survive. Like, you have to really fucking try to fuck up and die. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta try. So it's easy, but it's not as easy as it used to be. So now you can have a success brain where you can question shit and go, this doesn't make sense and everything like that. And I don't care what the fuck you think. You can hate me all day long. Like, I'm going home to my house with electricity and food, and I got at least one person who's down with me. And if not, I got some Twitter people that agree with me. Like, you know, like, so, but that's the survival mechanism. So that's like, it comes down to intention. It's kind of like plant medicine. Kind of like anything you do, it's like, what's your intention behind it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was that with the chimp brain. Another cool thing monkeys do that we do as well, and this is why you should always watch film and learn, is we have mirror neurons. Monkey see, monkey do. Meaning, I can watch you climb a tree and peel a banana, and my neurons pathway to peel a banana will fire like I was peeling it. So the myelin sheath could get wrapped around the neurons to learn and to do an activity I've never done before. That's like the 10,000 reps. You're wrapping your neurons with myelin to become a master. So you don't have to think. I can slip and rip a left hand. I'm not thinking. I could be knocked out almost and do it perfectly. Exactly. So monkey see, monkey do. That's a real thing. So that's why you should watch a lot of film.
Yeah. Well, I was watching a podcast I did last night.
Yes, you have to do that. You have to. But no, I want to. What's the name mean?
Tyro. So I got to give my mom props. I don't do that very often. But yeah, so we were having a conversation. I just graduated from VCU. I played baseball at Virginia Tech, transferred after my graduate year, or for my graduate year to VCU, finished up there, was living at home, and I had like no idea. I started a landscaping business. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And my mom's like, why don't you just talk to people? Like, and I've been blessed with a really cool network just through them, through my, playing baseball at a high level, just different. Like I have a lot of people that I have access to and that would be willing to help.
I know. I saw your guest list before me. I was like, fuck, that's stacked.
Yes. Hopefully it'll get better, man. And I mean, you're definitely adding to that for sure. But this conversation, she's like, why don't you just talk to people? And I'm like, damn, that's a good idea. I could just have some conversations, start getting some coffees and stuff. So I started doing that with people that my dad knew. And then I kind of thought about it. I was like, wait a second. You know Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom?
Yes.
It's a good podcast. I like fucked around and just watched his first podcast. And I'm like, wait a second, dude. If he can do that, and this video quality is really bad, the interview quality, like the mic was bad. I'm like, wait a second. Why can't I just like, what's the worst that could happen? So my mindset was, and this is getting to the name. My mindset was, what is the worst that could happen? I've been trying to use that criteria a lot.
Yes.
The worst I'm doing 21 episodes. Like, so anybody who's listening to this, you can hold me accountable. You can come beat the shit out of me if I don't. 90% of podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes. Of the 10% that do make it past 3 episodes, 90% don't make it past 20 or 21. So I'm doing 21 episodes.
Wow.
And the worst case scenario is I have 21 episodes. I spend several $100s on equipment, and I have 21 conversations with interesting people. That is the worst that could happen. So I'm like, fuck it, dude. I just started talking to people. The name Tyro. I was thinking about novice, like, because I'm not an expert in anything. I really don't consider myself an expert in anything at this point in my life. And I was looking at like novice wisdom, novice something, and I looked up synonyms, and this word Tyro came about. I was like, what the hell does that mean? It means novice or beginner, but this is the part that I think is so cool. It stems from the Latin word Tiro, Tyro, which meant young soldier and was used to describe somebody that was just entering the military. And so the way that I look at it is, in many ways, I'm basically a Tyro in my life, in young manhood, in becoming a man in this world. So the Tyro experience is that play. It's the experience of being somebody that's new to an arena but wants to fight, you know? So that's the name.
Dude, that is a solid fucking name.
The Tyro experience.
Solid name. I like that.
Yeah.
Tyro.
What's Meraki mean?
Meraki is Greek. It means to have a passion. You're doing something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, so a lot of people call it Meraki, and I was like, Meraki, fuck yes.
Yeah.
I like that too, but it means, I remember I saw the word when, and I posted with a caption on a picture, and it was one of my favorite picture I ever posted, me before my first title fight, and I'm like crouched down, and I was like, I don't know, I posted some shit like, Meraki, it means to have passion yourself, yada yada, whatever, but here I am, calm as a daisy, ready to slap my limbs into someone. But that word always stuck with me from that. And then I was trying to find a name for my supplements, and at the time, like, that's kind of when I started to listen to Soul a little bit, and then like Homer Helios, and I started to like really fall in love with the ancient Greek way, and wanted to educate myself more on it. And I was like, wow, I love it. And then so I remember the Greek word, and I was like, oh, Meraki. And I was like, well, Meraki's a Cisco brand, so I can't just like use Meraki. There's 8 million brands of Meraki. And I was like, what are we? And I was like, Meraki supplements, Meraki performance, Meraki athletics. I was like, medicinal. Yeah. I was like, we really are going to try to, like, our whole mission is, like, make you perform better, but we understand that 100 times out of 100, a healthy body will outperform a sick body. So that was kind of the message.
100%. I mean, if you're, on a more practical level, like, just how the physiology of humans work, if we have health bases that our bodies are trying to cover, like certain deficiencies, certain nutrient deficiencies or what have you, our bodies are going to be expending energy on that. And then when you're expending energy on that, you can't expend energy into creativity, athletic pursuits, and all these things. So it's once you get that baseline, and I think the sad part to me, I've felt it. And when you feel that, where you're like, holy shit, dude, I'm like, my body is crystal clear right now. I'm firing. You almost become obsessed with it because you're like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a very, very surreal and visceral clarity.
Yes.
So.
Dude, and I love it because in the beginning of like most people's health journey, mine started when I was cutting weight, and one of the only things that made me feel bad because I cut weight wrong like most fighters do in the beginning. I would go like 4 months without a carb. I would drink barely any water. Trying to sweat. I was eating like a yogurt cup a day. Like I was probably like eating like fucking 1,000 calories a day for multiple days.
No shot.
Just malnourished.
No shot.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's how you cut weight. You get low and then you fight. And like, it was so dumb. And like, the first person ever was George Lockhart, and he was talking about like, you know, fighters need carbs. And I was like, I can eat fucking carbs. And I remember I went home that we were on a camping trip. I was in fight camp, and I made butter toast with honey. Oof. And I ate it before practice, and I was doing backflips. I was bouncing off the walls like, oh my gosh, I gotta have carbs. And my weight was still going down. So that sparked it.
Hey, Homer Helios has that honey coming out soon.
Dude, I'm fucking trying to get with them because we throw honey in the tallow bomb. And I was like, I will buy your honey and throw
Hell yeah.
Homer Helios
I'm
honey
pumped
in
for
our towel.
I'm pumped for that as well. I'm a huge honey. Sorry to interrupt, but I just remember that.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge honey fan too. I want to get soul shit in my stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I trust them.
Yeah.
So why am I going to use any other salt if I make a hydration drink or anything like
Yeah.
that? Why don't I use salts? Like, that shit works.
Absolutely.
Homer Helios, it works. And we're all in the same community. We all have the same mission, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
Sorry to interrupt, but
that was part of it. But yeah, that's what kind of led me down the road. So I remember during COVID, I was really into health, and I'm reading studies, and everyone goes through the same progression. Now I'm like macros. Okay, I'm fit my macros, and I'm drinking Ghost fucking Legend pre-workout, and it's got natural flavors and fucking citric acid from black mold that's fermented, and they take it off the top, and just bullshit, sucralose, which is a neurotoxin, and I'm like, yeah, I'm healthy. And I remember like starting to make the switch because I was bloating. I didn't feel good, you know, but like my body looks great, but I don't feel good. I'm like, what the fuck is up? And you start learning. That's when I found Soul Broth, and I was like, oh shit. And I was like, okay, like what's, you know, and like I'm like following mainstream shit, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter, like a little fake sweetener here and there, and like I'm starting to realize like, no, it's not the fake sweetener. It's the fake sweetener with the environmental toxins and the dirty water and the seed oils, and like, so you got to start cutting shit back. And that led me down this journey of like really getting healthy. And I was pushing hard for a Ghost sponsorship because they were just starting to look at fighters. I'm so happy that didn't pan out. I'm so happy that didn't pan out, dude. I remember I was pushing hard. I was making them free videos, doing all this shit, and I was like, thank the Lord that did not happen, because like I truly went down a different route now. But yeah, with the like the whole medicine side of things too, with it too.
sorry if you. Yeah,
that?
sorry. I'm literally. We're making ends meet. You know, I'm in a public room right now, and some people are playing pool. Like,
I love
sorry.
it, dude. They're going on.
Hey,
bring them on.
I'm gonna look back in like 3 years when I have a studio or something like that, and be like, oh, you remember that? But
no,
sorry about that. I'll see if I can edit that out.
No, don't even leave it in there. I like the growing pains, dude. There's nothing about it, but yeah, dude, I was just like, man, I gotta learn more about this guy, and like you kind of explained a lot, but if you had to right now, gun to your head, tell me, what is the hardest thing you've ever done in your life that you accomplished?
The hardest thing that I've ever.
Or maybe you didn't, but the hardest thing you've ever had to do.
The hardest thing that I've ever had to do. That's a good question, man.
Could just be something physical. It doesn't have to be too deep, you know. But
I mean, I'm just off the top. Break up freshman year of college.
Okay, dude, that's a fucking solid.
Hit me deep.
I'll tell you right now.
Hit me deep.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now.
What about you?
For sure, yeah, because that's a slow, deep one.
Oh yeah, it just the way it happened, you know. But it's also funny because I'll look back. There's a quote, I can't remember who said it, but it's like if you don't think yourself 3 years ago as an idiot, then you're still an idiot. It's kind of the same way. Like, dude, I want to beat the shit out of my freshman college self. I just want to beat the shit out of him because he's such a pussy. I'm just like, God.
Yeah. No, you need that though, and that's facts, dude. That's facts. 3 years ago, yeah, like I said, I was fucking if it fits my macros. But one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life was my first title fight. I had just fought at 35, and then the guy, we decided at 140 because it was a last minute replacement. My guy backed out, his guy backed out, so we jumped in, and I had started eating again. I couldn't make 35, so I was at 140, and I said, I like this, I'm gonna move up to 145. I spent my whole career at 135, and those are like 10 pound 11 pound water cuts the day of. That's how bad it started getting, because I'm growing. I'm getting a little bit bigger, I'm having more muscle. I started lifting finally. I never lifted like the first 6 fights in my career. I didn't pick up weights, and then I started lifting, getting more muscle, getting more athletic, and so I decided to go to 45. So I was eating a ton. So it was the end of the day, and they call me and they go, hey, do you want to fight at 135? And I said, no. They go, it's for a title. I said, oh shit, finally you guys are giving me my title. All right. And I said, yeah, I'll do it. And I went home and I weighed myself, and I was 172. I had a bunch of water in me and stuff, so I was probably like 68 really. But then it's not bad on my end,
cool,
so don't
cool.
even trip about it. Yeah. So I was 168, and I said, okay. So the fight was 12 weeks away. I said, beautiful. So I started cutting weight. I was working with my best friend. He's a bodybuilder. He's a nutritionist. And I had learned a lot from studying. Like I said, like once I figured out I have carbs, it sparked this like, oh my God, I feel so amazing now. What else can I do to get in my performance and like feel good? And so I knew a lot about training and dieting, but I didn't know enough. So I had my buddy running my weight cut. Well, 12 weeks are going by. We're getting up to fight week, and I am telling you, it was this 12 weeks of hell to get my weight
Yeah.
down. It's the heaviest I've ever been. I am just like, I am dying, dude. Like, it was the hardest thing. The only thing that made me feel better were two things. I would study nutrition, and when I realized, like, okay, hey, you're still getting 18 or 1700 calories, someday 1500 calories. What's happening is you're hungry because your glycogen's depleted, your gremlin's high, your leptin's low, and like when I started realizing like what's going on, you're not dying, you're just hungry because your body now is
Yep.
burning this and this, and it wants you to survive. I go, okay, it made me feel better. It made me understand the pain. If you can identify the monster, you can slay it. So I knew what my hunger was, why it was coming there, what's happening, and it was cool. It made me really. It made me really calm down, you know, and like really like not splurge or like cheat on my diet.
Yeah.
I could follow it. And then the only other thing was listening to a Navy SEALs Hell Week story. So I found a book. It was like a doctor's look at Navy SEAL Hell Week, and I would just listen to these Navy SEALs going through Hell Week, and I was like, look, if they could do that, you can eat your fucking 4 eggs, you know, and quit bitching and go train. You'll be all right.
Damn right.
They're doing on no sleep with fucking grenade rounds popping out.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. So those two things were great, but we get into fight week. We're about to fight, and we're the main event at New Orleans, which I was so stoked on because that was where I had my first fight. Now to come back as main event and win a title there, I was like, this is full circle. Well, the guy I'm fighting is he was a Vago. He's in a huge biker gang. They rival the Hells Angels. So they just had a shootout a few months ago on a freeway. I had to text him and be like, hey, you good? You didn't die, right? He's like, I'm all good, brother. So he's a scrapper. Like he was coming off all finishes. He was like 4-1. He's a dog. He comes out aggressive, gets tired, and he knocks people out in the last fucking like round because he's just like he'll put this crazy pressure on. So he's worthy. But they found out, the New Orleans found out that he sold like 2,000 or 3,000 tickets to Vagos, and they wanted Tough Enough to supply Metro Task Force, their gang task force, as security. Tough Enough was like, we're not spending this money, so your fight's off. Because he can't come in with the gang. They go, so we found a workaround. We're gonna put you back in the stadium, Thomas and Mack, where you fought before, because they don't care. But it's in 7 weeks. So I just cut weight for 11 weeks. I'm like, okay, like fight's off. They're like, fight's off. I go and eat a breakfast, and like, oh my gosh, dude, it was magical. It was so magical. I still remember it. It was shit food too, but like just to eat. So I did like 2 to 3 days of like eating whatever I wanted and like bouncing back. And then I did some fasting to kind of reset my stomach, my insulin levels and everything, because I just was so bloated and felt fucked up. And I went on another 7-week weight cut back down to 35. So I bounced back like 8 pounds, and I brought it back down. We made weight. I have a video. I'll post it on my Twitter actually today. I'm going to post it. It was me with 7 more pounds to lose, and I am completely like sucked in. My face is sucked in. You can see every vein. I'm like, I turn sideways, I disappear, and I have 7 more pounds to lose.
Dude, that's absurd.
And it was the toughest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, the weight cuts.
Ever.
The weight cuts are the probably to me seem like the craziest part, frankly.
Dude, it changed me. It changed like my tolerance for everything. Like it was like after I did that, I could do anything in this world. Because it was 19 weeks of just cutting weight with a small 2 breaks. I got 2 breaks in there. I had 2 refeed, 1 refeed day in the 12 week, and then the other one was my 3 days off in between the fights when they announced.
And the thing about that is it's literally counterintuitive to our genealogy and to our hardwiring, because every single day you're in a caloric deficit. Every single day. That's like literally the opposite of what our bodies are wired to do. And I apologize again if the audio is getting screwed up, but
it's really not bad.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Starting to piss me off. I'm about to be like, get that. I'm kidding.
Nah, bring them on.
Yeah. I'm kidding. I think it's interesting because my health journey the same type of way. I think athletes that are driven have not a leg up, but it's almost like a what's the word? Like it's the same for all of them, because I was always trying to look for that advantage in baseball. I'm like, okay, well, it started off like, okay, well, I'm going to eat a certain amount of protein, and I don't give a fuck where it's from. Okay, well, I'm going to start eating like this chicken, but that means I'm going to douse it in freaking seed oil, sriracha mayo or whatever. I'm going to, okay, well, wait, so what's a micronutrient? What do you mean what do you mean this one micronutrient can do this? And then you start going in this rabbit hole, and it's just rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole, and then you realize like all this world that opens up to you. So I think the athletes that are driven have a particular advantage in that regard. And it sounds like athletics is the reason that you got onto your more dialed health journey as well.
Yeah. It came from pain. It came from the suffering of like, I'm dieting, I feel like shit. It came from my fear of head trauma, and I wanted to not neglect it. I wanted to nullify as many of the negative symptoms from blunt force impact on the brain as I could. And the only way to do that was like, making sure that I had the right environment to heal. And you do that through your diet, you do that through cutting environmental toxins, you do it through manipulating, and then you do it through adding things, certain supplements. But that's what led me down the journey, and that's when I realized, like, and especially studying methylene blue. Methylene blue can be used for psoriasis, eczema. It can be used for depression. It can be used for malaria. It can be used for focus. It improves short-term memory, improves long-term memory. It does all these things, and you go, that's why you think it's snake oil. But it's not you're used to taking something that masks a symptom. You're used to taking an Advil that masks a headache. You're used to taking this that does that because it's masking the symptoms. When you can find something on a root cause, and if you boil the tree down enough to the root, you're going to get every branch above it as well. So when we're talking a cellular antioxidant specific for the mitochondria of a cell. And now I just found a study too, because one of the arguments I had was, mitochondria can't repair itself. Like, yes, it can. Apoptosis is when a cell dies. And when the membrane of the mitochondria or the cell actually breaks, they used to think that was the final step before apoptosis. The cell's going to die. And we found that it can be permeable, and it can actually start using that permeability to spark a signal to start the repair and then fix itself. Yeah. So the mitochondria can 100% repair itself now.
You're exactly right about that. About the baselines. Yeah. Like, you might be surprised that it fixes all these things, but then you think about, if you understand any type, and I'm not a biologist, I'm not a cellular biologist, but we understand that the mitochondria is the energy powerhouse of the body, and that then what needs energy? Literally every single thing. So if you can improve your efficiency and efficacy of creating energy and utilizing energy and all that stuff, then it makes sense intuitively.
It's like, and that's where I get with the micronutrients. Like, your body can make some vitamins. Minerals, it can't. Minerals make up every enzymatic function in your body. You know why Shilajit's so amazing? At least 84 fulvic trace minerals, right?
I need to get on that, dude. I've never done Shilajit. I need to get on that.
I'm telling you right now, and be a man about it. Put the Shilajit on a fucking on a fork and put it in your mouth. Okay, don't make it tea.
Come on, we're eating raw liver out here. If you can eat raw liver, then you better be able to do some Shilajit.
People are like, I can't put the methylene blue in my mouth. Tastes bad. I'm like, get the blue tongue. So suck it up.
Post a picture and tag Meraki.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's what I'm saying. You're ruining the brand. But no, honestly, the Shilajit, like, you have 84 minerals. Minerals are directly responsible for enzymatic functions, right? Every neurotransmitter in your brain is mineral dependent. We'll just take GABA. GABA, your calming neurotransmitter. If you have a zinc deficiency, you're not producing GABA, okay? What happens when you don't have GABA? You're an angry, fucking, anxiety-ridden asshole. Got it? So that's literally a zinc deficiency right there. So you take a substance that has 84 of these minerals, you're probably gonna hit your baseline, deficiency that you're having. So you go through and you start with something like, that's the same thing as like a liver supplement. You're gonna get all the benefits that the liver's in charge of, which is a ton right now. I'm studying the liver massively. And it's the same thing with methylene blue. You're going to hit the cell. Okay, but then if you get, like, your cells are on point now, okay, if you have any dysfunction, methylene blue will help repair the mitochondria in the cell. So it's not something you have to do all the time. You can do it short term. It's not something you have to do a high dose of either. The high dose and the low dose are beneficial both in the same. But you're going to have all these profound effects. The antidepressant effect, well, that makes sense as well, because every neurotransmitter in your brain is mineral dependent, and you have the right minerals, or if your cells aren't working right, and you give something to make your cells work right, and then all of a sudden you're not depressed anymore. It makes you really look at depression, everything like that.
As different. You look at it as a physiological thing instead of like some psychiatric, like, you're fucked. It's like, maybe my body's reacting to something.
Exactly. Like, yeah, maybe you have trauma, but how everything, okay, so everyone's like, well, it's trauma. Everything is trauma. Sunlight is trauma. Sauna is trauma. Working out is trauma. Everything is trauma. The body's ability to bounce back and handle trauma is what hormesis is, and what hormesis is what leads to growth. When you go work out in the gym, you're doing traumatic experiences to the muscle. You're breaking down your muscle. How well you can recover, meaning how well your kidneys can flush out the broken down amino acid chains, how well you're sleeping, hydrated, how much protein you have for protein synthesis, how much your immune system is functioning to help the repair, like your vitamin C intake and everything like that, is going to be directly correspondent to how well you recover from that and how much you grow. And so everything is trauma. So when people are like, oh, but I had a traumatic life and my life's hard and everything, and like, I'm not saying you don't have reason to be depressed. What I'm saying is if you give your body the right environment, it can handle the trauma a lot better than
And it can
someone
use
else.
it.
Exactly, dude. Like I have trauma. Everyone has trauma. You know what I
It-
mean?
the-
Like, but I didn't go. Oh, I didn't fit in high school. I couldn't get a girlfriend. Everyone thought I was a runt. I got made fun of. I got picked on a bunch and everything like that. Like, no, I put a chip on my shoulder and I used it. You know, and like I have a great life now. Like I didn't peak in high school. I'm proud of it. I've seen guys who peaked in high school and they're not doing well.
that's a sad life, in my opinion.
100%. So that's where methylene blue made me look at, because you have to look at it and you're like, how does it have all these benefits? Like, how's it anti-aging? How's it, it's all these things. And then when you look at it like that, you can start looking at root cause more rather than symptoms.
Yeah.
And then you can realize, like, wow, like if methylene blue is so powerful as an antidepressant, only because of the mechanism, it does nothing to do with your serotonin or anything crazy like that. Like, only because of the mechanism that, I mean, it has some other mechanisms, but what I'm saying is the main benefit it comes from is repairing the mitochondria in the cell, making it work better, stopping electron slippage in the electron transport chain, giving you more ATP, and you're having an antidepressant effect because you're becoming healthier. Then what else could do that, And that's where, to me, I made that other tweet. I was like, yeah, minerals are more important than macros.
Yeah.
100%. If your minerals are dialed in,
100%. I agree with that. And I remember seeing that tweet because I was like, that's a great way to put it. It's very simple and it's very true. And in my episode with Dr. Frank Matalone, which is the 4th episode, we talk about how the pharmacological approach is essentially just a Band-Aid. It's just Band-Aid after Band-Aid. But the only issue is when you slap one Band-Aid on, it creates a cut in another place. You need to slap another Band-Aid, another Band-Aid, another Band-Aid. Instead of the esoteric health, in my opinion, is like, and holistic, it's skipping all those symptoms, maybe even not suffering through them, but becoming aware of the symptoms. And then, I mean, I don't want to say suffering through them because sometimes the symptom's important because then it helps you find that root cause. But then you actually go to the root cause and you fix all the cellular dysfunction, the metabolic dysfunction, all these crazy things that are actually causing those things that you think you need drugs for. And methylene blue, it seems to be one of those things. And I mean, dude, the list goes on and on about just the amount of toxins that we could remove. Like the amount of toxins that we could remove from our lives. Like even if you don't want to buy anything, if there's anybody out there that doesn't want to buy anything, they don't want to spend money, okay, well just take toxins out of your life and you will see it. You will see a benefit. But I just think the root, you have to address the root, and that's what you're talking about.
Exactly, and that's what I tell people too. Is like it's funny because people look at me all wacky because I have grass-fed, pasture-raised, organ-blended meat, and I get organic fruit only, and they're like, "Oh God," I'm like, "You realize I'm the one asking for normal shit. I'm asking for normal fucking food. Like I just want my cow to have a pasture, not be pumped with antibiotics. You're the one who's eating the bullshit, but you're gonna look at me like I'm going above and beyond. No, I'm asking for organic food, meaning don't fuck with it. I'm asking for cows that you don't fuck with. Okay, I'm asking for chickens you don't fuck with. You're the one getting the food that's fucked with. Okay, I just want raw milk. You want pasteurized, homogenized, fucking bullshit milk with, whatever else they're gonna add in it. I don't want that. Oh, you're muted.
My bad. Sorry.
You're good. I saw the oh shit, the lips.
Oh shit twice. But just the it's so weird how like once you change your community too, like as you become more tapped in and the people around you become more tapped in as well, it's kind of like you don't push away people, but people that are not on the train that you're on, just call it what it is, like people that aren't as interested in living like that vitality or that vital life.
Yeah.
You sort of stop hanging out with them. That's totally fine. But then you start hanging out with, hopefully, people that are also tapped in. And so, I mean, I'm sure you obviously just spoke on it. The amount of people that, like, when I eat raw liver, when I've eaten raw testicle, when I spend more money on ground beef, when I just dropped $450 on a reverse osmosis filter, when I do all this stuff, they're like, dude, that's over the top. That's over the top. And then you think about it, you're like, that's normal. Like, that is literally, I'm trying to take it back instead of, like, in it's just an interesting paradigm shift is what I'm really trying to get at. That, like, people think you're weird, even though you're like, wait, I'm just trying to get back to like how we were 150 years ago.
Exactly. And dude, that's the thing too, is like I'm walking down from Provo, Utah. My buddy fought there, and we went and hiked after he won. And there's a chlorination plant right there, and there's a guy working in it. And I walked in, I filmed it and posted it on TikTok. And I was like, what are you guys doing here? And he's like, oh, we're chlorinating the water, we're cleaning it. And I was like, you're dumb and just chlorine? They have fucking Tide in there, just pounds of it.
Dude.
And they're like, yeah, we just throw it in there, and then it gets pumped down there, and then it goes to the people. And I remember being in Provo and being like, there's a lot of weird fucks here. You know what I mean? So, like, and I'm like looking, and I know for a fact, like, chlorine, all those things, lead, fluoride, they all are antagonistic to minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, like, the best thing you could ever say to a dentist when they're like, you want fluoride? And I'm like, no. And one asked me why not. And I was like, well, because fluoride is, you know, it's antagonistic to heavy metals, and it's not good for you because it can calcify you. It can pull calcium from bone and put it in soft tissue. Like, are you sure there's nothing on it? And I was like, she got me. I was like, all right, well, why is it bad? So I did my research, and you can start boiling it down.
Mm-hmm.
You're never gonna find the direct correspondent, but you can start doing the math. You got to picture, put shit together. And what fluoride does is it inhibits iodine absorption through the sodium iodide receptors. Mm-hmm. So it downregulates those. Your body doesn't get iodine.
Which you can't make.
That's where. Exactly. So fluoride will actually inhibit iodine, and when you don't have iodine in your body, on average, you have a 10-point IQ drop. They've displayed this all over the world. Even the WHO has stated that, like, iodine deficiency in kids directly leads to an IQ drop. Mm-hmm. So it's like, all right, so you get the fluoride stare going. You know, you get the chlorine and
the bromide too, bromine.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of that shit. So that was my fucking point with this. Like, dude, there's so much shit in here. I just want clean water, and like, you're gonna look at me all crazy. It's fucking.
Yeah, I don't want to spray a freaking chemical laden, like, invisible layer over my skin that it's gonna absorb. Call me fucking weird. I don't care. Like, I'm just gonna go put Van Man shit on. Honestly, that's
exactly.
That new sunscreen. Exactly, I'm pumped to use that if I need it.
Yeah, I need to say I haven't sent you anything yet.
Nah, dude.
Okay, just right after this, send me your address. I'll ship you.
Shit, I need to refund your bottle then.
I need to refund. No, don't even worry about it. I'm supporting you. You're good. You're good.
Dude, well, I appreciate it. I've never tried methylene blue. You know what's funny is I've seen people with, like, the blue mouths, like, for a long time, and I literally kind of wrote it. I didn't even look into it. I'm like, oh, well, like, maybe it's a blue Gatorade. I don't know. And now that I've looked into it, I'm like, I can't believe it. This is the first time I've really done a dive into it. Yeah, there you go.
I did this morning,
there you go.
But look, like, literally, because you'll fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay? You'll hit your teeth. You'll hit your lips. Don't do that. Because then when you got blue teeth, they don't look cool.
Back of the tongue?
Back of the tongue.
That's great.
And you just get a blue tongue.
Live on the Tower Experience.
So actually, Aljo cracked me with a head kick Saturday. It's fucking... it was like first 15 seconds. We just drilled a bunch, and he threw like 40 body kicks while we were warming up. Cool, blocked him, and then he opens with a question mark kick. So he goes body head. I've just been blocking body kicks for 40 minutes. So I go like this, and he smashes me right across the nose. So it was like, boom, like definitely concussive impact. So I was like, whoo, shook it off, and then we started going. I got mine back, and like I had to shut that down, but like he caught me off guard. So I've been doing like 30 milligrams lately a day. But dude, 5 milligrams, 1 full dropper a day. You're good. You could go up to 3 full droppers. Antidepressant effects are studied at 15 milligrams, but you'll get them at 5 milligrams.
And dude, my thing is, this is another thing. I ADHD, whatever you want to call that. I literally took a methamphetamine, or not a meth. I mean, I took an amphetamine for 7 years every single day because I didn't like sitting in it.
What was it, Adderall?
Yeah, I took Adzenys, and then I took Vyvanse and then Adzenys.
Okay.
And I think about that. I'm like, okay, dude, for 7 years every single day you took something that increases your dopamine over baseline around 10 times. And then I think about the process in which I got diagnosed. Okay, I was a 13-year-old boy. I was sitting in a dimly lit, like no natural light classroom in the basement of a school for 7 hours a day, listening to a fat teacher talk about shit I didn't care about. And I was having focus issues. And now I look back, I'm like, no shit, I was having focus issues. You fucking retarded. Like, obviously. And the reason I bring that up is like, okay, if my body can handle that, and Noah Ryan actually tweeted this recently. He's like, I'm resilient, not neurotic. It's like, okay, if my body can handle that, that's a huge paradigm for me. That tweet was huge for me. I've never thought about that way.
Yes.
If my body can handle that, then imagine what it can do when I get everything dialed in and kind of like recover that baseline. And I'm pumped to get some MB in the system so I can.
100%.
I can feel that.
Yeah, I mean, I did that too. When I was just working on by myself, I wasn't having fights coming up. I got neurotic because it was the only thing I could do to like save myself from like being like feeling like I'm a fucking piece of shit for not fighting. because I have such big dreams and goals. If I'm not actively working towards them every day, like I like feel like I'm gonna go to the grave with regrets. It's me really operating off of like fear at that point. So I got down to like 4% body fat, dude, for
Yeah.
months. Not
That's
just like
chiseled.
touched it.
That's
I held it,
yeah, that's absurd.
held it, shredded, dude. But I got so neurotic, like that. Well, one, my libido went down. I stopped getting morning wood.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck this. And then two, like if I had like a French fry, I'd feel sick.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is not the goal. The goal is resilience, you know? So it's like I actively incorporate some shit now and then. Like not bad, but like some raw milk ice
Yeah.
cream, sugar, shit like that. Like actively incorporate.
I actually tweeted.
I
Go
never
ahead.
want seed oils. Ever. Just because you don't need oxidized fucking
Yeah.
acid. That's dumb. You don't like, there's a difference between eating like maybe higher fats and shit like that, or like, you know, whatever it may be, but adding poison is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And there's certain things that I don't think should ever be. And dude, I had like tacos from a food truck here in Austin with my uncle last night. I have no clue what they cooked them in, frankly. So I'm not.
Yeah,
I mean, there's. I actually kind of like transfuse these thoughts between several people, but the thought that I had recently, I actually tweeted it today. Optimize the ideal so that the margin is more optimal, not non-existent. And what that means is like optimize your 90% of your life, not so that the 10% is never there, but so that the 10% is even more optimal than it otherwise would be. And so that's what I think that statement means. And that's like methylene blue, getting your minerals tapped in, which I think is, in terms of physical resilience, I think getting your minerals deficiencies in check, which via blood work or however you want to do that, to get a baseline, getting your mineral deficiencies in check will make you more physically resilient than perhaps anything.
I don't get sick as much. Like, dude, literally the staph. So I got it. It's funny how it happened. So it was like a month and a half ago or a month ago, I got staph in my armpit. Okay. We ran out of deodorant. I used a shit deodorant, and my all my pores swelled up because I was like, okay, I'm not used to this. And that happens now if I don't use like a nice deodorant or like a magnesium spray. If I use like a shit mainstream deodorant like from Target, like it'll fucking swell. And that's because my body doesn't like the fucking ECG score. No, I'm just kidding. So
ESG.
so it swelled up. And then I went and trained, and then it was infected because it was already like it was in a fucking irritated state, and then you had the mat, and then I went and lifted after I trained, so I got staph. And I remember telling my girlfriend, I was like, dude, I might need to get on fucking antibiotic. She was like, don't do it. I was like,
Let's go.
fucking, I got a fever. And I was like, fuck, like it's in my lymph node. My whole armpit hurts, my lymph node just went. I was like, fuck this, like I'm gonna get it. So I used garlic honey. I used oregano oil. I was doing garlic honey orally and topically. I was doing natural hive cream I have, and I fucking whooped the shit out of it. And like I was fasting, because fasting's good for bacterial infections. Not good for viral, but it's good for bacterial infections. And everything worked out well. And then now the second round right here, I have on my arm, I have staph right here. It's a big open gash, pus. Got it from cutting palm trees. Palm trees will have staph on them, so it cut me. And then we had to keep working, so it had enough time to set in.
Is it from that day you took that sick pic of?
Yeah, dude. I love cutting the palm
Dude,
trees. Dude. You rope your ass up there. You're just fucking. You're climbing it. Yeah.
That's funny.
I like you're 60 feet in the air, fucking trimming spikes.
That's funny.
You gotta do dangerous shit, dude. I love it. So.
No, that's awesome. I think this.
But yeah,
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna. Well, I'll finish your thought. You talking about getting this?
Okay, so anyways, but it settled in. Well, it was the weekend before we went to the cruise, so I had it under wraps, and my body, I was eating clean, I was fasting, doing everything right, and I know, like, no fucking problem with staph. Like, staph is like, oh, you get an infection, you go get a fucking antibiotic, right? So I'm sitting there, eating clean, everything, it's going down, the pus going away, I'm putting garlic honey on it, keeping it bandaged, whatever, it's going away. We go on the cruise, I start eating like shit, and I drink, we're celebrating, okay? Fucking blows up. It looks like I got reinfected, starts getting pussy. I get it back under wraps. Then we have the fight last weekend. My boy fought. I'm stressed as can be for my boy. I'm more nervous when my guys fight than when I fight.
100%.
Like, I know what I'm capable of, but fuck, like I don't want to see them get hurt. I know I'm good. I've walked out after getting shattered in 30 elbows. I walked out of the cage and got to hug my mom and be like, hey, everything's okay. Like, so I've had the worst happen to me, and I know I'm not made of glass, which is a good feeling to have. But when you see your boy, you don't want them to deal
Yeah.
with that. So you always feel for other people. And but I'm stressed out, and then we're eating shit food, and then like we have this fight, we're up all night, and then he just wants pizza, so we're eating fucking Domino's, dude, and it's like, boom, dude, it's so bad. And that's why yesterday I had a 100-degree fever like out, and I was like, fuck. So this one's bad because it's like in multiple areas now, so I had to go get the fucking antibiotics. So I took them yesterday, and it's down immediately, and I was like, garlic honey, so I'm gonna try to be as clean as I can. I think I'm gonna go without the antibiotics now, but if I get like MRSA or something, I die, like, I'll do it for you guys. You guys know now.
Yeah. No.
Don't fucking start them and stop taking antibiotics.
But even then, it's like, okay, but this is what the Dr. Frank Madeline was talking about. He's like, if you need a pharmacological approach to intervene in like a serious way, then do it. But other than that, do whatever you possibly can, like to the nth degree before that. And so in this case, like staph can get really serious. Obviously, people die from that if it gets really bad. So if you need to take an antibiotic, then so be it, right? I mean, but it's also
that's where I'm
it's not a coincidence that it flared up when you were doing things that were probably not optimal.
I know for a fact that was it. And that's my point with everything in life. There's two things. You have the gas and you have the match, okay? The gas, for instance, we'll just take the sun. The gas is the fucking seed oils, the pro-inflammatory diet. Maybe you have an intolerance to eggs or lactose, something weird even like that. And then you go get sunlight, and your body is already in a poor fucking redox status, and you add that oxidative stress. So you have the gas, which is like the oxidative, like free radicals and stuff, and then you have another oxidative stressor. It could be anything in life. It could be this is the gas. Then the match would be the dominoes and being stressed about my buddy's fight and nervous and in a heightened like cortisol state. That's the match. Anything in life you can boil it down to gas and match. Exactly. So whether it's staph, even the gym, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you don't warm up, and then you're lifting heavy weights, you know? And it's like, there's always a gas in a match. Like, sometimes it's okay. The gas is fine. And so my biggest thing is, like, if you're going to eat shit food, you're going to do anything like that, don't stress about it. Usually stress is worse than the problem. So if you eat a fucking seed oil Domino's pizza, like, I sat there, I swear on my life, and I said, this pizza is going to fuel me. The polyunsaturated fats my body's going to handle. I will take methylene, but that's an antioxidant. I'm fine. This pizza is good for me. And I ate it. If I would have been like, oh, fucking seed oils, gluten, cheese from low vibrational cows and homogenized and blah, 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 and I eat it, that's the match right there. That stressing over it is worse than actually doing it. Sometimes you just got to fucking get a straw and suck it up.
That's a great point, dude. I've never thought about that way.
Situations.
I've never thought about that way, but I've heard, like, my brother talks about Warren Buffett a lot and how Warren Buffett supposedly drinks like a Coke and eats McDonald's every day or something crazy like that. And he's like,
yeah, he does.
It's probably Sean, my brother literally says this. He's like, it's probably the fact that he doesn't care. Like, it doesn't affect him.
Stress.
So that's a great point. And that's where that tweet, resilience, not neurotic. Like you're telling yourself, okay, dude, this is not optimal, but dude, my body's freaking physiologically resilient. I'm going to be fine. And I'm going to enjoy this pizza with my buddy. As opposed to being like, oh, fuck. And then gas match. Huge.
And that's what does it. That's a Jake Youngblood on Twitter. He's part of the Irrational Optimist group.
Yep.
Another cool Discord, dude. A great one. Jake's an amazing guy, too. Like, that guy, too, helps me so much without anything in return.
Really?
I'm like, I get mad at him. I was like, I gotta do. What do you need? What do you need from me? Like, let me help.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take handouts. What are you doing here? And dude, he's an amazing. But he's the same exact way. He's like, don't like. And I've said this too. I go, Huberman's great. I love him. But some of you guys need to put the fucking Booberman down, dude. Some of you guys need to go out and live a little. All right, like you're not doing shit and like being present. You're just trying to follow a routine because some piece of paper told you it's good for you. You know what's good for you. If you don't know what's good for you, go get really fucking healthy and you'll start to feel it.
Yep.
I'll know when like, oh shit, like I need a little bit of minerals. I'll know when I'm a little off now. I'll know when I need more. Like yesterday with the fever, I went and sat in the sun and I went from like headache, chills, everything. I just sat in the sun. I was like, I've never once sat in the sun like this and felt so much of a benefit, you know? It was like, holy shit, like I feel 10 times better. I can go sit in the grass now before bed and I can feel myself calm down. Like I feel like my blood flows better. Yeah. And I go lay down in bed and I fall asleep quicker. And like I have the sleep scores when I wore whoops before to prove it, but like I can feel
That's not true, dude. The sun's bad for you.
The
sun's bad for you, bro.
Yeah, the sun is bad for you. Correct. The ball of fire that keeps us all fucking.
I'm kidding, bro.
See you in 20 years, pal.
Yeah, seriously. I'm gonna go put some sunscreen on. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, we're pushing 2:30. This is the longest episode I've done, which is freaking awesome.
We're at 2 hours.
2 hours and 25 minutes, 27 minutes.
Yeah, I can keep talking to you.
Same, bro. This is awesome. Well, hopefully this isn't the last time, man. I would really love to have you back on. But hey, where can people find you? Like everything you want to plug. Like what?
Yeah. All right. Well, main ones. Twitter, Vance E, VANCEE. So it's Vance Elrod, my last name. Instagram's more just fight career. I do post some like neurotic hell shit on there every now and then, but it's mostly just fighting. That's Vance FC, like UFC, Vance FC. I need to get this all organized now. And then Meraki Medicinal on all platforms for the business, and we post a bunch of stuff there too. It's me running at me, and then we have a little team that kind of handles some shit, which is like me, my girlfriend, and friends.
That's awesome.
Like we're small. Yeah, and then TikTok for the fucking fun bullshit. That's at World's Best Lover.
There you go. That's a great name.
Yeah.
That's on brand 100%. Too.
That's so perfect. Fucking World's Best. The funny story behind that real quick is I was at the gym, we were boxing, and I gave myself that name. I was like, if I box, my nickname's going to be World's Best Lover, because I almost went to pure boxing for a while. And so everyone at the gym called me that, and I used to tell my girlfriend that. So we go to the gym, and this guy was like, what's up, World's Best Lover? I was like, babe, see, all the boys in the gym call me this. I told you, and she just fucking rolled her eyes.
It's so funny too, like it's so counter like corporate culture nowadays, just to have like you own a company like, and you have a TikTok called World's Best Lover, and I'm sure you post like some just dumb shit, not dumb in like the sense that it's bad, but just like not buttoned up corporate shit. I love it. I like it's Van Man's the best example. Dude. Van Man's got this successful ass company, and then he's just freaking ripping shots on Twitter like it's his job.
Yeah, people realize authenticity is what you know people look for nowadays, and I've also like through the years like I've learned now is like to be tolerant of everything is to not have morals, to not have a ground to stand on, and so there's a lot of shit I won't be. I'm never gonna judge people. I'm never gonna treat people bad, but I'm not gonna be tolerant of bullshit. You know, if I care about you, you're gonna hear about it. If I don't care about you, I probably won't say anything to you. But like I'm not gonna tolerate it, and so I'm not gonna tolerate the CDC and the FDA coming after me for a compound I know that could save people. Yeah. So that's one of the things I'll put my foot in the ground and we can go to war over.
This is a step in the ground right there, hopefully. I mean, I'll be taking MB for the first time, so I'm pumped.
Yes.
And hopefully, I mean, if nothing else, hopefully people will at least get a better understanding of what it is from this conversation and get a better deep dive into how to improve their life one tiny step at a time. So,
100%,
dude, it's been a real pleasure, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you.